Good morning, 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 everybody. Good morning, good morning. Super excited to have all of you here for our live stream, 11:30 a.m. Eastern time every Sunday morning. Can't remember the last one I missed. I know I missed one, or at least was short. It was abbreviated. But yeah, super excited to have you guys here. Going to cover a lot of stuff today. Sorry, I am literally finishing stuffing my face from being out and doing final heat checks from the lovely weekend that we had here in the Northeast. Super, super, super cold. And no matter what, you can't fix stupid. So let me just get prepped. You'd think that I'd done this enough that, let's see here. Yep. Okay, you'd think I'd done this enough, right, that I could get on my phone prepped. Brand new phone too, so it doesn't take as little as it used to. All right, we're good there. All right, guys, as we always talk about, I am always going to be monitoring my phone because I have contractors working. So they sometimes need help, real time. And so when they do need the help real time, I need to be there for them. So good to be here. We have a bunch of projects going on in the field right now. We posted some of that stuff to Instagram. If you're not following me on Instagram, you should be at Lumberjack Landlord, at Lumberjack Landlord, at Lumberjack Landlord. You definitely want to be following me because now I post every single day, literally every day. So we post every single day. We post some project that we're working on, something that we did, some corner that we can not cut, but round. But we spend a lot of time in the field on our projects. I do. So my background is not construction, but it has been for 20 years or 25. So we look at product all the time. We evaluate product all the time. We are always looking at how easy install is. We're always looking at all those things. So if you're looking to be in the brrr, real estate game, buy and hold, flip, all of that stuff, we've done it all over the last 21 years. And we continue to do it. We're actively doing it in this market right now, currently today. Yeah, so it's a good time. So we'll jump in real quick. We'll say our good morning hellos and such. And then we'll jump into questions as you guys have them too. And I apologize in advance. I have to finish my breakfast sandwich because I am absolutely starving. So I'm going to chew a little bit too. So I greatly apologize. Hopefully, we don't offend anybody, but sorry if we do. But super excited to have you all here. So with that being said, I don't think that's going to work out. I think I'm going to lose my breakfast sandwich. So good morning, Dion Financial Freedom, Dion Talk Financial Freedom. Thanks for coming and hanging out with me. John Doe, good morning. Con, good morning. Good morning. Intentional money management. I like that. Intentional money, MN. Is that Minnesota or management? Let me know, intentional money. I've never seen you here before, but I'm super excited to have you. Jeremy Kirkwood. Good morning, Matt. Hey, good morning. Woke up to a small blizzard and all the kids with a stomach bug. Oh my word. That is the worst. Because those of you who don't know, Jeremy's one of our regulars here. He's got 87 children. He makes the woman with the shoe look bored. Deals are flowing. Lowe's is doing some crazy clearances right now on bathroom fixtures. Fixture sets for $1.24. Yeah, we got lucky. We got a few of those like $6-7 things. What was really funny was I tried to order a couple of things on Home Depot. I couldn't get them. And I was like, oh, that means I have to go to Lowe's. For those of you who don't know, you can see some of my literal classic rants about Lowe's. Not a fan. But when Home Depot doesn't have it, guess what? I got to go to Lowe's. So the way it goes. But yeah, there's been some crazy deals there for sure. Totally agree. Well, Jeremy, I hope the kids feel better. Don Etherton. Hey, Don, good morning. Dimitri, there he is. There's my buddy. I made it, but we'll be in and out. It's my wife's birthday. Yeah, you know what? I get that. don't burn 3 hours with me on your wife's birthday. Watch a little bit together. And does she do the real estate stuff with you? I'd love to know the answer to that question. Julie Anderson. Hey, Julie, good morning. Good morning. Looking fantastic after your 117th birthday. Nathan Meredith, good morning. Hey, good morning, sir. Good to see you. Good to see you. Dawn, it's only 54 degrees here in Arizona, and it's chilly. Yeah, it is much colder than that here. Yesterday was 2. It was 2 degrees yesterday. And so that's one of the things I'm actually going to talk about is a cold weather climate, specifically things that you guys need to watch out for. But also if you're looking in cold weather environments or cold weather areas to possibly invest, just some, general rule of thumb stuff that you guys should take an eye at and keep an eye on, because you'd be surprised how little it takes. We actually had a burst pipe in this yesterday. We had a burst pipe. And so I'll tell you exactly how that happened so you can not have it happen to you. So we'll talk about that. So Don, appreciate it being 54 degrees where you are. It is not that here. It's much colder. Intentional money, Minnesota. Okay. I've been around for a while, just not chatting. Glad to have you in the chat, my friend. Enjoy it. We'll have some fun today. Jay Markey, morning, Matt. Sign up for you, follow you on Instagram this week. Very cool. Yeah, guys, there's going to be a ton of information on Instagram just because my flexibility to jump on and do a YouTube video every time I think of something isn't going to be there. We'll certainly talk about stuff on live streams on Sundays, but we'll post a lot of stuff, like at least one thing a day, just showing people befores and afters, product that we use, what the process was and what the cost was. Guys, if you're doing anything in real estate and it's not purely just raw investment, you got to be following me on Instagram because there's going to be an absolute ton of information there. And then you can ask questions about it on Sunday. We'll go in depth on Sundays on that stuff. So at Lumberjack Landlord, at Lumberjack Landlord. So yeah, super exciting. John Doe, 46 in Central Florida, layered up. Yeah, I know you guys got to layer up at 46. Yeah. Don, just to throw a jab. You're all good, Don. I appreciate it. Yeah, today, right now, weather is, oh my word, it's hit 27. That's wonderful, but it's windy. It's windy. Oh, it's windy. Yeah, it's cold. So yeah, Crimson Knight. There's my friend from New Hampshire. Hello, Matt. First day living in Manchester. One thing about house hacking that sucks is moving. Yeah. That is something that absolutely sucks, is moving for sure. I moved 9 times in 13 years. Yeah, 9 times in 13 years. So I moved often, 9 times in 13 years. And that was solely so I could do the house hack thing. That's the only reason I moved 9 times in 13 years. So, yeah, so I get it. I totally understand what it's like to move and move often. You never get settled. In fact, often I would leave my stuff in totes, the blue Rubbermaid ones. For the longest time, I would just leave a lot of stuff in totes, and I live out of totes because I was under construction when I was living in the house a lot. And then, yeah, a lot of times I lived out of totes, and I lived out of 70s furniture for a long time too. I mean, you don't have to do it as crazy and dumb as I did it, but like I said, if you do it, you do it. It's cool. It's cool. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Matt, the Lumberjack Landlord. I own over 100 units and counting. We specialize in dupes, tries, and quads. We have some commercial. We have some 5 to 12 unit properties. But we've done single family flips. We have owned some single family homes and sold out of them because of our affordability index is a 4 right now. And so when the market tells us to sell, we don't fight the tape, we sell. So we sold all of those that were extremely overvalued at the time. And so we sold out of them. And we used that money to buy undervalued dupes, tries, and quads. And that's where we got a lot of our growth from in the last couple of years, is some of that transition. But single family homes, unless you own them for a decent amount of time, they didn't really cash flow. And so that's something that you need to know and know your market, know your area. is that our stuff just didn't cash flow. The single family stuff didn't cash flow. So we got out of it and we got into non-single family stuff because it cash flows. That's what it's about. That's what the game is. So I know that there's been some stuff posted about equity. I'm happy to talk about this stuff if you guys have more questions about it. I did a couple of videos on it with Mike Zuber from One Rental at a Time and our buddy Dion Talk Financial Freedom. So we've done some videos on it, but I'm happy to answer questions about that. Just kind of my feelings on things. My answer always to kind of give an idea is you cannot pay your bills with equity. You can't. So you have to have a sound business, and then as appreciation occurs over time, which it will, it always has. Although it can be 10 years of dead money or 8 years of dead money, just like a stock or anything else. It can be dead money, but your rents and your cash flow is what keeps you alive and going. And then you eventually hit a cycle like what we've had in the last year or two, where you see significant and aggressive growth because the market kind of finally wakes up a little bit and goes, we haven't been building nearly enough housing for a decade. And so now there's a shortage. So that's kind of where it gets to us. So, yeah. Angel R. Hey, good morning, Angel. Appreciate the goat. Appreciate that. And I do know what the goat, that's a goat. And I appreciate being called a goat. I think I'm really good at what I do. I make a lot of money doing it. And I appreciate being called a goat. What can I say? Yeah. Jeremy Kirkwood, speaking of cold weather environments, I have a bunch of Airbnbs that I do for other investors. They always want to keep furnaces basically off while vacant, never think about the hose bib covers. Yeah. So in Indiana, this recipe for disaster. You don't shut heat off. You don't shut heat off. You just don't. It's a bad idea. Put it at 50. It is such a minimal cost over what it will cost you to fix a burst pipe and all the rental loss. I mean, just think practically. Keeping most of these places at 50 degrees, which is a bare minimum, and having them checked with some level of frequency is just so important. We're actually investigating on the units that we have that are oil. We're actually investigating basically a fill top that will send through Wi-Fi when it hits like a 15% of tank being filled. So the piece is mechanical, but the actual Wi-Fi notification obviously isn't. So we're actually looking at that because we have, probably 20 units or so that are oil. And so if we can know that we're hitting 15%, we can be aggressive and make the call that day to the oil company, because we know that in any of those properties, 15% oil gives you at least a, 7 to 10 day window or 5 to 10 day window, depending on how frigid cold it is. So that's something important. So we talk about everything that there is real estate. And so I'm happy to answer all and any of your questions. Jeremy, I would, if you're managing those, in all honesty, I would put something in there because it's going to be your problem. It's going to be lost revenue for you in management, I would assume. If I were in your shoes, I would put something in there that says we require you to keep the heat on at least 50 degrees or 45 degrees, some sort of a safety, because that would be just a nightmare. I mean, I've done burst pipes. I've done them. I've done too many of them. They're horrible to deal with. Horrible to deal with. So the other things that we do too is you can't overdo it when it comes to the number of shutoffs. So we have more shutoffs on our pipes than most places. A lot of times you'll walk in, certainly older construction, northern half of the country, and you'll see these star pieces that you turn. Those rust and corrode over time. They get stuck because they never get exercised, open and shut. Ball valve is much less complicated. Down is shut, in line with the pipe is open. Doesn't get any more simple. It's literally just a quarter turn. And so usually you can get away with exercising those less than you do a star valve. So for us, we'll actually go in and we'll actually have the plumber put in an extra couple. We'll have them put in anywhere, usually an extra couple shutoffs in the right places so we can shut off zones, i.e. water to the upstairs bathroom. We'll have a separate zone for that where we'll have shutoffs. The water to the downstairs bathroom, separate zone, shut off. The water to the downstairs Kitchen, separate. Water to the washer dryer or to the washer area, separate. The reason that we do that is if we ever have a problem anywhere in that line, we can shut it off and we only lose use of that one thing. We only lose use of that bathroom upstairs, or we only lose use of the bathroom downstairs, that sort of thing, because you have to be very, very careful that you are not putting yourself in a position where you don't have a backup and that they don't have water out of some faucet or the ability to flush some toilet. In the houses where water is run separate to where you only have one bathroom and the water's run to the shower and the water's run to the toilet, guess what? Still two shutoffs. You put yourself in a position where you can still have a toilet working and maybe not have a shower. Well, somebody can go a day without a shower. Somebody can't go a day without a toilet. And a toilet, then you can fix immediately, but you can stop any leak that's going to that feed line. You can stop that immediately and fix whatever the line issue is, and then turn that thing back on. So one of the things that we actually learned yesterday pretty quickly is that I had a special tool that I was going to buy and I procrastinated. I got too busy and I didn't buy it. It's a special Milwaukee crimper. It's an expensive tool. You can buy them used for a couple grand. And I think that's probably what we're going to do because we don't need to buy a brand new one for $3,000. But I should have already had purchased that tool. And if I'd purchased that tool, it would have saved me a Saturday call out. Would have saved me a fortune. So just stupid. I didn't get to it and I should have made it more of a priority. And it would have been far better for us. So yeah, I highly, highly, highly recommend more shutoffs than you would think that you actually need. It's better for you, I promise. Okay, back to some more questions. Dimitri, we're in it together. Very cool. She's great with design. Awesome material selection. We did DIY together before being able to afford to hire out. Cool. She's great at painting, floor, and backsplash tile. Very cool. That's awesome. My wife, same exact thing. So she does electrical. I do all design work, but my wife is a better painter than I am. So yeah, very cool. Love that. Love hearing people in it together. I love it. Jeremy Kirkwood, house hacking is not as painful if you do an Airbnb and leave all your furnishings and buy new stuff in advance if you have the capital to do it. Yep, agreed. Well, we were pretty minimalistic too. Like I literally had 6 pieces of furniture. Like that was it. It was really just living clothes out of totes. So it really wasn't too bad kind of moving, but yeah, a normal move like what Crimson Knight did. Yeah, totally get it. That they're brutal. More importantly, she gave me confidence to pull the trigger. Dimitri Gurvich, more importantly, she gave me more confidence to pull the trigger on deals I was on the fence about, and I don't regret buying a single one. Yep, we'll have her join live stream Monday, not her B-day. Very cool. Yeah, would love to have Mrs. Gurvich join the live stream. Would love to have her. Taylor Games, hello. Hey, good morning. Super excited to have you here. Thanks so much. Hopefully you ask a bunch of questions because that's what we're here for. Jeremy Kirkwood, exactly. I've been demanding it and about 50 bib covers. Yeah. Oh, bought 50 bib covers. Yeah. You got to do that stuff. Don Etherton, excuse me. Can't you put in Nest thermostat since I assume you provide internet for the Airbnb? Yeah, you can probably do that on the Airbnb side. For me, for long-term rental, I can't because a lot of times my tenants pay the heat. And so therefore, I'm pretty sure the rule is I can't control their thermostat because they pay for the heat. So therefore, I can't really do anything. So in the units that I take care of the heat, I have some sort of a resolve to that. In the areas that I don't take care of the heat, we're working on solutions. We're working on a solution. So we're trying to figure out exactly what that looks like. But yes. Dimitri Gurvich, Jeremy, is Lowe's fixture sale online or in-store only? I never saw fixtures that cheap. Thanks. Yeah, in-store. In-store. It's usually stuff at end caps and where they put their clearance. Just ask somebody in the department where they put their clearance stuff. You'll find it. Don Etherton, I have a Nest in my house in Colorado and set the temp at 60 degrees from here in Arizona. Yep. Yeah, perfect from an owner-occ perspective for sure. We have everything online in our house. So we can do everything online and remotely in our house. But we don't, but it's a difference in rental properties. Fresco. It's really funny. I hate grapefruits, but I like Fresco. Riddle me that. So if you're just joining the live stream, I'm Lumberjack Landlord, Matt, and we own 100 properties, and we manage them, self-manage, bookkeeping and maintenance, and we continue to add. It's myself and my wife, and then we have just some folks on our team. We don't have any employees, but we do have 1099s that we use to do a lot of the work that we do throughout the year. So if you have real estate questions, you found the right place. Lots of like-minded people here to learn about real estate and talk about real estate. So if you're just joining, please join us and feel free to ask questions. That's what we are here for. Crimson Knight, my washer pipe froze because the idiot who installed it didn't insulate the wall pipe yet when it was a new pipe next to the wall, which the other side was outdoors. Yep, sure. Yeah, so that was one of the pipes that burst yesterday. Yep. It was right up against our granite foundation. Granite foundations are what they have here in the Northeast very often. And so that pipe was completely not insulated. What we're actually going to do, knowing that that pipe was the single point of failure, is we're actually just going to run a heat tape to it, which costs about $30, actually about $20. It's 30 feet long. You plug it in and that line will never freeze again, and we'll hide it up in and we'll insulate it. That simple. The whole reason that one actually blew was because we had a service call on Thursday where we had all this building is new to me in the last 3 weeks. This is actually the Lamborghini house. And so I guess the door didn't shut properly. And so now I have to call them tomorrow morning and have a conversation with them because they didn't tell me the door didn't shut properly. And so it was left wide open and literally cold air in the basement the entire time. And yeah, for 48 hours, I was trying to keep a place to temp when the door was wide open. So they're going to get a call from me Monday morning and we're going to work something out. So yeah, that was very interesting to say the least. Jeremy Kirkwood, yes, son, I've been doing that. EcoBees, yep, on me for other investors to change it and keep utilities costs low for investors. Yep, I lock them at normal temp that is reasonable as well. Yep, if the investor accepts. Yeah, makes sense. I think, yeah, in-store, yeah, Jeremy Kirkwood to Dimitri, yeah, in-store only. Yep. Janitor on fire. Love it. Would an investment in solar ever make sense on any of your properties, factoring in rebates, initiatives, etc.? That is a great question, Janitor on fire. I have run the numbers. I run them often. Every year when there's some program that's out there and available, they don't make any sense whatsoever. So far, none of them have made any sense whatsoever. The fastest return on capital I ever saw was 12 years. 12 years is garbage. 12 years is garbage. So I want to do solar panels. I would be willing to write a 6-figure check to get solar panels done on a bunch of my properties if there was any return on that capital with any sort of time frame associated with it. Because right now it's just hot garbage. In fact, 1 year that I ran it, it was a 21-year return on investment. No, everything else that I do has a less than 5-year return on capital that I put in the deal. Everything less than 5 years. Everything's less than 5. And that's buying the property. That's literally getting my initial investment back, usually within 5 years. Because I'm not able to buy it 3.5% down. I'm buying it 20 and 25% down. So usually I'm doing a deal that's above 20% return on capital, and then gets me this crazy return where it then makes sense for me to, yes, do other capital projects. But yeah, the solar panels thing, it's just been way too expensive because I don't want to basically, there's a bunch of companies out there that you can do the deal with them, get the panels, and then you basically pay them a monthly fee, and then you have no more bill from the electric company or much smaller. I mean, it's a nice idea, but the numbers haven't worked out so far for me. William Bautista. Hola, senor. Hola. Thank you. Good to have you here. William, I don't think you've asked any questions before. Super excited you're in the chat. Con from Florida. I want to do a house hack, but thinking twice. I have a 2,620 square foot home with so much furniture and kids. Thing I don't look forward to moving. Yeah, I get it. It's definitely a sacrifice. Without a doubt, it's a sacrifice. The question is, running the numbers, does a house hack, even if you buy like a big duplex, you might have to downsize, but they have duplexes here where I live that are, 3,600 square feet. So it's 1,600 to 1,800 square feet. So it's noticeably smaller. But I can tell you that if you ran the numbers on my most recent deal, the one that we just closed on Wednesday, that building is 2,907 all in on a monthly basis. And I rented out one side. I rented out the newest side for 3,100 a month. And that's just, that's a reasonable price. And then the other side is going to be upped in rent significantly. So literally one side would pay for everything: principal, interest, taxes, insurance, water, sewer. And I could live in the other side 100% for free. So imagine the money that you're spending monthly on a mortgage now, and in 2 years, how much more money that gives you. Excuse me. And then what you're going to do with that money. If you're not going to do anything with that money, then yeah, why bother house hacking? But if you have something else you can do with that money, you do it for 2 years, do it for 4 years, do it for 2 years, do it for a year, move into another property just like that. That's the opportunity that you have to then build your real estate empire and do it at 3.5% or 5% down, as opposed to me as an investor. Now I have to spend 20 or 25%. So if I'm buying a typical duplex in my area, that's $500,000, I'm coming to the table with at least $100,000 plus closing. I think with closing costs and everything all in, I think I was 122. So we're 122 of my return on that is so sorry, new phone. I don't know where my calculator is. Gotta love it. There it is. So 122,000 was my closing. And then we'll make, so 2,907, we'll make right around 2,500 a month. So 30,000. So yeah, 24.6. 24.6% is what our return on capital on that deal is. I like that deal. I'll do some more of those. Do some more of those for sure. So yeah, so I totally get it, Con. It's definitely a sacrifice, but again, look at what the doors is. Look at the doors it can open up for your future. And I'm pretty sure, you can live in, 1,800 square feet. But again, that's if the duplexes are available in your area. For us, it just made sense for us. We didn't do it with kids, but we did it until we had kids, and we know people now that do it with kids. So yeah, just one of those things. Dan Hunter, have an investment home at 4% loan. Okay. I lock in at 3.5% cash out refi so that I could take 100K out of it. Love it. While closing on some other deals, the lender let the lock expire. Oh yeah. Okay. Yep. Boy. Okay. He has since quoted me at 4.125. I'm pretty angry. Get it. But he's also closed many deals for me in the past. Thoughts, anything I can do? He hasn't offered anything other than new rate lock at current rate. Yeah, I mean, anybody can offer a new rate lock at the current rate. He's not doing you any favors there. I mean, the only thing that you can do is ask to speak with his director. So I can do like a senior lender. Most of the way these organizations work is there's a broker. There's usually a senior broker or manager. And then there is typically who's almost on par with the owner. There's typically somebody called a senior lender. And that senior lender is the one who really sets the rate and oversees what margin you need on deals. So yeah, maybe they can do something for you. I doubt they will. Honestly, I doubt they will. Most of these guys, all due respect to, mortgage brokers, most of them have not been in the business for 14 years and have no idea what '08 looked like. They have no clue. No clue. It was the same thing back then. Most of the people that were getting into real estate in '05 and '06, they're just like, this is amazing. I'm making so much money. Yeah, guess what? They got obliterated. They were making nothing and they had no skills when they had to go get a real job. So yeah, it happens. There's ebbs and flows of this market. You're going to see a lot of mortgage companies after this whole rate stuff gets figured out and refis drop by 80%. Can't wait to see that crisis video. Of course, refis are going to drop 80% because we've had low rates for a year and a half. So everybody and their brother is refied. Like there's pretty extenuating circumstances on the 3 properties I haven't refied. I haven't refied 3. And it's because one of them is mid-construction. One of them is mid-conditional approval on subdividing the lot. And then what was the other one that we didn't do? Oh, the other one that we didn't do, we're going to sell. I totally forgot about that one. Yeah. Why we didn't do that. I was like, why didn't we do that? Yeah. Cause we're going to sell it. So yeah, just Dan, I'm sorry to hear. I don't think you're going to get anything, my man. I don't think you're going to get anything. You can talk to him. You can ask to talk to a senior lender or something and just say, hey, listen, like, wouldn't you believe that this is your guys' responsibility to notify me that the rate lock is going to expire? I can see them saying, no, we tell you when the rate lock expires and that's on you to track it. I can kind of see that too. Yeah, Dan, let me know how it turns out. I'm sorry to hear it. I don't know that it doesn't make sense to do the cash out refi though. $100,000, even at the difference in cost, so long as you're not creating an alligator. And so long as you're still making money on the property, I don't know that it doesn't make sense to do it, because if you think that rate's high now, just wait. Just wait. I called 4 rates. I called 4 rates this year before July 1st. And it's not even the end of January. We already have 4 rates. So I knew that rate increases were going to happen. I knew they would happen and get into the 4s by July. I think that we're close to 5, if not 5, by the end of the year. Just saying, between them tapering. Now, is there a chance that we go into deflation and that the Fed has to goose it and that they have to find a way to put us at 0 rate? It's possible. It's possible. That's the bet that Dion Talk Financial Freedom and Mike Zuber, One Rental at a Time, and I have, is that Mike and I believe that we're not going to see lower rates by the end of the year. We think that we're going to see higher rates by the end of the year. And so that's just, like I said, I think that 4.25, it's still historically for an investment property, it's still very, very, very good. And so I would encourage you to keep that in mind. I get that you're offended. I get that you're pissed. I'd be same boat. In fact, I've had that happen and I was pissed. So I totally get it. Totally get it. Totally get it. But that is something that, like I said, kind of get over the emotional part of it and look at it and say, all right, where does this trend? Does it still give me enough money to make money on this other property? Have the conversation with them. Maybe they're picking up points. Maybe they're picking up some points in the spread. Maybe they can't do the 3.35. Maybe they can do 3.75 or 3.875 and still get you under 4. There's a possibility they might have that kind of margin there, but they might not. So yeah, sorry to hear that, man. But I would, like I said, I would not just damn the torpedoes and kill the deal. I wouldn't. I don't know that I'd do that. Yeah, I don't know that I'd do that. I have one coming up that's going to be close. I've already told them that keep an eye on this because we're going to have to do the increase. We're going to have to do the rate. Interested to know, but they're probably a broker though, right? So interested to know if they're a lender, like a broker, or if they actually portfolio money. That's something that you might want to find out, man. Better Home Rental. Hey, good morning, Better Home Rental. While rents are way up in my market, it seems tenant application qualifications are way down. Yep. What are you seeing and requiring? Yeah. So tenant qualifications suck right now. Like 19 out of 20 is a no. I only need one. 19, and I still get 1 or 2 in a weekend. So that's why there's all this frenzy, is because there's 50 people for every one apartment, but 45 of them or 48 of them are garbage. Not the people, their situation. So, yeah, seeing it all the time. Yep. I've gotten 5. So the things that we require, so great question, Better Home Rental. The things we require is no evictions in 3 years. Proof that they paid their landlord their last 3 rent payments. And we still, depending on who does the qualification or who the tenant is, we do a landlord reference or not. We have them listed. Sometimes we call, sometimes we don't. The thing that we've gotten looser on, and I'm interested to see if this is going to bite me. The thing that we've gotten looser on is credit. We've gotten looser on credit for one reason. If their payments are being made by housing or some program, we've loosened up a bit on credit because they're not making their payments. The credit, the agency is. So what we do is we also will market those units at different pricing because we're assessing risk. We're assessing risk that after the program's over, that there is going to be, that there's likelihood that they're not going to then maintain the rent themselves and that they're going to move out. And so we have to assess that as a business. And so we have units that we're getting significantly over what we would normally charge, but we're having to assess that risk because they're in a program that's not renewable. It's not like Section 8. It's more, some sort of a relief program type of thing. Jennifer Medina. Hey, Jennifer, good morning. Uh-oh, here comes a good question, I'm sure. Jennifer always brings the heat. Troy Stamps. I am new to real estate, still learning how to determine ready cost to get a property prepared for rental. Hey, Troy, I remember you had just bought Mike Zuber's book. So I'm really glad you're still here and coming and hanging out. The get ready cost. So in the beginning, Troy, that is not something that a beginner can do because they've never done it before. So the key with that is in the very beginning, anything that you're looking at, you want to try to get a contractor to take a look at or give you an understanding of what something is going to cost. Specifically, if you're looking at a property that needs all new electrical because it's knob and tube, or if you need something that needs a roof or something like that, when you enter into a deal and have an inspection on the deal, instead of only hiring an inspector and you see that the roof has curling shingles or things like that, you can actually call a roofer and say, I want you to come give me a quote on this because I'm going to be trying to buy this house, and then use that number as well. So get ready costs is the most difficult because everywhere in the country, contractors are a different price. Product is usually around the same price. But you're going to get varying grades from, different contractors and what somebody like that or what someone is going to charge for that stuff. So get ready costs are tough when you're still trying to figure out what something costs. Completely get that. I don't think that there's, and because of because of regional specificity, there's no real easy way to do it on a calculator. There's no calculator anyone makes for anything because it's too hard to account for. It's just too hard to account for. In some areas, roofing is $275 a square. A square in roofing is 10 feet by 10 feet squared. So it's basically 100 square feet. And so some places will roof at 175 to 250 a square, excuse me. And others are 550. In my area, it's much more expensive than a lot of other areas in the country. A big driver now in that is that a lot of shingles have almost doubled in price. So we've had roofs that are, so for those of you who didn't watch the video with Mike's roof, he only gave me general numbers. And I landed within $600 of his, I think it was a $60,000 roof. I landed within $600 of what it should cost or what his quote was. So I'm good at what I do, but that usually I'll be within 5%. Not, that was, I think, a half of 1% is how close I was on that. Was it? No, it was 1%. Yeah, I was right around 1%. So usually I'm 3 to 5, typically. So yeah, Troy, that's why you need to be doing the research for 60 to 90 days, is because you need to be kind of figuring out when you talk to, if a place needs a roof, when you talk to a roofer, you say, okay, for architectural shingles, or what are my roof options? And then how much per square are you? And does that include all material needed? They'll say yes. And then just say, if plywood needs replacing, how much do you credit for that? There's a lot of variables in that make ready cost. And that's why I always say on your first one, you're lucky if you're break even, because any repair costs that you missed or didn't account for, that's why your inspection, I say spend extra money on the inspection. Because if you spend, like, a normal inspection might be $400 to $600, I'll spend $1,000 on an inspection because I have the guy check absolutely everything. I always can, in that listing, find something that I can go back to the buyer and say, hey, we need to adjust for this or adjust for that. So even though I spent the extra money, I'm still going to get the reduction in price, number one. Number two is I need to know up front, if that sewer line's collapsed, I'll pay them $200 to camera the line. If that sewer line's collapsed, that's a $15,000 problem. And once I notify them that it's collapsed, the agent has to notify buyers that an inspection has been done and the line's collapsed. What's that going to do to any other offer? Any other offer is likely going to trail back a little bit. So then it still makes sense to try and work out a deal with them. And then you actually have some power to get a deal done. So I am Matt. I can kind of, guys, what I'll do is, like, every 20 minutes or so, I like to just say it. That way, anybody who's just joined feels free to ask questions. I'm Matt, aka the Lumberjack Landlord, owner of 100 units. Do it with my wife, built my business over the last 20 years. And self-manage all of my properties and do much of the maintenance. So if you have questions about any part of the game, you let us know. I'm happy to answer your questions. Let's see. William Batista, what research should I do to find agents that, hold on 1 second. Contractors, we got to pay attention to them. They are our lifeblood, in a manner of speaking. So yeah, we love our contractors. They keep us going. Should I do to find agents that have off-market leads or fixer-uppers? You have to just network. That's your only option. The other thing that you can do too is you can also, okay, yeah, here's a good trick. You can look at, so when you search MLS over the last 12 months, when you search MLS, or even 2 years if you want to, when you search MLS, look at the lowest cost properties that sold, take a look at them and see if they were fixer-uppers. If they are, you'll typically see that those people on those agents are one-off. That's what you'll find a lot, because it's a friend of a friend that's selling that place, right? So you find a lot of this one-off stuff. Sometimes you'll find a pattern. And the reason that you'll find a pattern is because that person is actively putting themselves out there as somebody that can sell your house in any condition, whatever it is. And so you can find those folks, and then you just call them up and you say, you introduce yourself and you give them your buy box. This is what I would buy. Anything that you have that comes up like that, I am pre-qualified. I have funding available. I will look at anything that you send to me, and I'm happy to do it. And I would do my due diligence quickly. You say those things to that person, and then you just follow up with them every couple of weeks, and put them on your list to follow up with every couple of weeks. You will eventually get a deal from them. That's one really good way to do it. Yep. The only other way to do it is, buying a service like a prop stream or something like that. There's a few others out there, but prop seems pretty good. But it's not expensive. It's inexpensive for what you're getting from it, but it's like $100 a month. But if you think about the fact that you're actively looking for a deal and trying to invest in real estate, what's $100 a month? You know, if it's going to bring you a deal that's going to make you, you know, X number of dollars, I mean, basically you're paying them a piece, right? But they're going to bring you leads and ideas, names, properties. The only other way to do it is driving for dollars. And driving for dollars is just driving up and down neighborhoods and looking for dilapidated stuff. It's funny. I got one on my, I never had gotten one from one of those dilapidated companies when the property looks like junk. And I just got one. I was a little bit offended. I'm joking. We purposely had redone all the interior first because that's where people live. And actually this spring is when we're actually updating the outside. So yeah, lots doing there. Jeremy Kirkwood, solar is very local and state specific on ROI. Yep. It works in Indiana with tax benefits. It may not elsewhere. Yeah, it does not work in New Hampshire. It's kind of junk. Yeah, but Jeremy, what's the return on capital there? Like how long is it is what I'd like to know. Because some people's version of it working and other people's version of it working doesn't necessarily work. Like I said, if I'm looking for under 5-year return on my capital, because that's what I'm going to get in any property I invest in or any other project I'm going to invest in, I'm going to get a 5-year return on my capital, and I own the underlying asset, and I still then make that 20+%. And actually at that point, my 20% is much higher. Like that deal that I just showed you guys, my return on capital there is 4 years if the rents don't go up another dollar. We all know what rents are going to do, or I believe I know what rents are going to do in the next year or two. They're going to go up further because it's an inventory problem. So when those rents continue to go up further in the next, couple of years, my return is probably not a 4-year. It's not the 5-year return that I shoot for. It's probably not the 4-year return, which would be awesome. It's probably less than 4 years. It's probably 3.5 years. So if I can get a 3.5-year return on my capital, I'd rather fine tune. There's going to be a time when solar is going to be far more widely deployed, when their systems are much better, the battery storage is much better. All of that stuff gets better and better and better. And while, you can test a panel, that a lot of the panels from 20 years ago still work at 92 to 93% efficacy. That's great. Still storage remains the issue. And batteries are a big component of that. And the batteries and the whole setup of how that works. So yeah, I just needed to be, I think adoption, it really comes down to, it really just truly for me comes down to the numbers. I would love to do it, but I'm not going to pay, through the nose to have a bunch of solar enabled houses. That's my take on it. Crimson Knight, have you ever looked into heat pumps? Yep. Was talking with someone who said the heat pumps were worth more than IBC boiler because I only have oil or propane. I disagree. Assuming oil propane prices don't drop back to 2020 levels. Yeah, I just disagree. I like the IBC brand because maintenance, replaceability, they've had runs on different heat pumps where they couldn't get parts for them. Certain brands, certain fixtures, certain parts and pieces that were needed. You also have to buy a higher end heat pump because it has to be able to withstand sub-zero temperatures. I'm still IBC. I'm not going to vary from that. I do have heat pumps in a couple of places. One that I actually have propane, but the reason that I have that is because it's such a small house that it was literally a 2-head system. So it wasn't a big deal. It was so small. And in the wintertime, we keep it at a minimal temperature because it's a lakefront house. So yeah, for me, IBC still, we actually had an IBC fan go. I was just going to say that. So we had our very first thing go in an IBC. The unit was just about 5 years old. And I believe the part was covered under warranty because I think 5 years was the warranty, but I believe it was covered under warranty. And more importantly, we were down for 2 hours. Guys, like as a landlord, that's what you want. I want low maintenance properties. Something breaks, I can fix it because the carrier has it on the truck. And they don't have to order it. And my particular guy is an IBC dealer or an IBC rep. And so he has his stuff on the truck. So when you buy an IBC combi boiler, it's only 7 parts or maybe 6 parts. They give you a dealer box. When something fails, it's a swap. You test, yup, failed. Pull out old part, put in new part. Guys, less than 2 hours, we were up and going again with heat. And this was on, of course, at the time, the coldest day of the year. There's no heat pump company that can do that. Zero. So I just do, for me, it still remains IBC. I won't get away from IBCs. Not unless we start having a whole rash of problems. And quite frankly, we haven't. I've got 20 something of these things deployed in the field. And that was the first time that we've had one fail. And it was back up and going in 2 hours. So I'll take a failure like that if we can reverse it quickly. Kevin Cotto. Hopefully I said your name right. Kevin, I have not seen your name here before, so I'm excited that you asked the question. Have you ever heard of or taken advantage of a realtor commission credit? Watched a YouTuber talk about getting money towards his down payment by 1% his realtor's commission. Struck me as odd. Yeah, I don't know how you would get that. I don't know how you would get that. I just don't. Generally speaking, I don't like that stuff. I didn't get my license. I could get my license tomorrow if I wanted to, and I probably wouldn't even have to study for it because I know more than 99% of the agents out there because of how much property I buy, all the circumstances I've gone through. I just don't want to take money out of my broker's pocket. He works hard for me. I'm paying him to go find me the next deal. The last thing I need to do is, try and squeak a 1% out of him. And based on what? Like, do you think that buyer's going to be out there killing themselves trying to find you the next deal? No, they're going to go with the next guy who's not going to take the 1% of their money. So I wouldn't do it. And in fact, there was somebody that mentioned on the stream, in one of the Facebook groups. So Three Amigos of FI. If you aren't part of that group, please request it today. Three Amigos of FI, Financial Independence. Three Amigos of FI. You'll see myself, Mike Zuber from One Rental at a Time, and Dion from Dion Talk Financial Freedom. That was a Facebook group that we started. It's free of charge. It doesn't cost anything to join. Please join it today. Please request to join today. And we will get you in there. But there was somebody that posted yesterday that you should negotiate a deal with your realtor and pay them a retainer. And then if you buy something, then get the money, and then you would get the money back. No way. No way. That's garbage. No. If you're that busy to take me on as a customer, you're too busy for me. If you think that I should pay you based on your delivery of nothing and just hoping that you'll deliver something, no way. Absolutely not. Realtors are getting a little too full of themselves right now, and wait until they see what the market's going to be in the next 2 years. Just wait. Just wait. There's going to be a lot of out of work realtors right now, or in the next 2 years. Same with mortgage brokers. I guarantee there's a lot of high-end realtors right now that will end up having to sell their homes in the next couple of years because their income isn't going to look anything like what it looked like the last couple of years. That stuff annoys me. Enjoy the flow, enjoy your peak in the market, but don't get greedy and don't be obnoxious, because at the end of the day, your job is to go find me a deal. And you don't even have to do the work other than here's the deal and then let me throw it into my calculator. So the fact that I would actually write a check to you as a retainer, just in case I don't buy something, go away. That would get that. I would hang up right then and there. And I would actually probably call that senior broker in that firm. And I'd be like, yeah, I was just told that they want a retainer. In fact, I think that's illegal. It might not be illegal, but if it isn't, it should be. That's just pure garbage. So I don't know anything about, Kevin, about that 1% of the realtor's commission. I've heard that you can do that sometimes on a referral basis. So if you have that video, or if you have a link to that video, send it to lumberjacklandlord@gmail.com. I'll take a look at the video and tell you what I think. But general principles, I don't like putting my hands in other people's pockets. That's my thing. William Batista. I'm first in line to get a 3D printed home built from you. No joke. So William, I will, yeah, we're down the path. We're still selecting. I've spent a lot of money on consulting because there's so much to be done there. And I want the machine I chose, they won't sell. they're only building the machines for them to build homes for people because the margins are so crazy. No joke. Kind of bummed me out. The other one that I talked to that we were pretty down far the path with, they basically just from an engineering perspective, they said, we don't want to build what you're building. I'm building a very specific, excuse me, I'm building a very specific house to take care of the immense housing need that we have. So yeah, yep. Kind of crazy, but yeah, it's I'll answer anything about 3D stuff. I don't know as much as like the top line experts, but I'm kind of next tier down because I've paid a lot of those top tier experts for consulting. See, I do it. I pay for consulting because I know a lot about it, but I want to hear their opinions because they're experts and they're living in it. I actually pay guys that go to the different sites and spend time in the company because I don't want to think about this. There's so many of these new companies out there. What if they're a garbage company and I can't buy any parts for that machine? Like, these are the things that I have to think about, right? Because I want to use this thing for years and years and years, because I can tell you the cheap ones start at about $500,000. The expensive ones are upwards around $1.5 million. Yeah, about $1.5 million are the expensive ones. Yep. So yeah, I'll be waiting to see what. So that 3D home thing is a slow burn. Had my daughter not gotten sick earlier in the year, I'd be much further along, but there's only so many hours in the day and I got to operate my business, take care of my family. And so the 3D thing had a ton of my time in the summertime and hasn't gotten a lot of time since. So I'm actually re-engaging with a lot of those vendors. So again, guys, I'm Matt, the Lumberjack Landlord. I own over 100 units, singles, dupes, tries, quads, and then I own some units, 5 unit to 12 unit. So I don't specialize in the large multifamily. I leave that to really handsome guys like Grant Cardone. Yeah, that's it. So that's what we do. So ask your questions. And as you guys see, I'll go literally step by step and answer questions. So yeah, William Batista, great question. I would definitely, we'll obviously do a crazy video about it when we buy the machine, but that is taking my business in a completely different direction. So I'm not afraid of it, but just a lot more steps I have to take because I've not done it before. And it's still such a new thing. Everybody claiming to be the first, they're so full of garbage. They just are. The one in New York wasn't actually, I won't go into it because there's a bunch of just he said, she said stuff, but there's guys in Texas. There's guys in New York. There's the one that was just done in DC. They all say they're first. Not everybody can be first. Con in Florida, if I do move into a duplex, 3.5%, yep, down payment, yep. I would rent out my current home, yep. What can I expect from my current home lender and insurance company? Your home lender can't do anything. You can rent out your house. It's your house to do with what you want. So you can rent out your house. Your insurance company would likely want you to convert from a homeowner policy to an insurance policy. So this is not professional advice. Don't sue me, bro. But my experience has been when I moved out of a home that I occupied, owner occupied, and then I moved into a new home. The only thing that I did was change my insurance on the last home to make it only a fire policy instead of a homeowner's policy. The reason for that is the contents inside aren't covered under fire policy because they're not my contents. So they pay you. So usually a fire policy, believe it or not, is, from my experience, a fire policy has been less money because there's much less that they cover. But then you require renter's insurance, which is usually pretty cheap, anywhere from $5 to $50 a month from an insurance company. A lot of times renters can get it through the same company that they have their automobile insurance through. So yes, so that can help you. So yeah, nothing required on the lender perspective, only required on the insurance side. Jennifer Medina, how do you feel about gap funding and have you ever utilized it? No, I have not. And are you talking about like short-term gap funding? So I don't know. Let me see if you scroll down and see if you answered that. Sorry. Oh my goodness, I am so far behind on questions. I am sorry, guys. I'm trying. So yeah, Jennifer, answer. I'll get to you below if you talk about specifically on the Gap side. I don't use any Gap stuff. Crimson Knight, how was your experience from January to March 15, 2015 with all the snowstorms, extreme cold? It sucked. I remember it. We had, I think we had maybe 50 units at the time. We had massive snow bills. Holy Toledo, those bills were nuts that year. We probably spent over $10,000 in snow. Thankfully, from a burst pipe perspective, I think we had 3 all season. But it's because once we identify them, and it was because they were newer properties, once we identify what the problem is, we then fix the problem and then it doesn't occur again. So thankfully this year, the only freeze pipe issues that we had were brand new buildings and people that left doors open because they're idiots. Yeah, that kind of bothered me. Don Etherton, my hard money loan last year was 7.4%. Yep. So I am loving these lower rates. Yeah, no kidding. I refinanced into a 335 last May, individual loans. Yep. Now refi with Steve Dow, portfolio loan 399. Don, killing it, my man. That is awesome. That is awesome. Those numbers are phenomenal. Love it. Jennifer Medina, can you touch on useful resources for learning the lending side and options available for financing? Matt, the mortgage guy. Matt, the mortgage guy, does a really good job. He actually has a really inexpensive course where he kind of puts all the videos in the same place. I think it's like $25 or something. Super cheap. But Matt, the mortgage guy, 100%. He's a lender, knows his stuff cold. There is a ton of information on his site. In fact, I'll be his special guest tomorrow night on his live stream. Can't believe I didn't talk about that before. Yeah, I'm Matt, the mortgage guy, special guest tomorrow on his live stream. There, you heard it here first. So come hang out, say hey. We want him to feel the power of the Lumberjack brand and just see that people ask questions. He's really good. I think he can do loans in like 45 states now. So yeah, he's really good, knows the game cold, been in the business, long enough that he knows all the programs out there, how to bet and service. From the people that I've talked to that have used him from a service perspective, they love the service. They said it's fantastic. For me, I can't use them. I have too many properties. So we're stopped dead in our tracks on that one. Basilio. Hey, Basilio. Alcantara. Yes. Hi, Matt. Question for you. I owned a townhouse in Miami. Where? Cool. Where the tenant is paying $2,200, but the average rent now in the area $2,600. Would you increase upon lease expiration? I would. Lease term expires in 60 days, and these are good tenants. Based on the numbers I just gave you, how much do you think I should increase it? It's fully renovated, everything new. Okay, Basilio. Dion Financial Talk. Dion Talk Financial Freedom, excuse me. Dion Talk Financial Freedom. Check out his videos. He has something called the binder strategy. I have a modified version of the binder strategy, but I don't have a video on it. So go see Dion. Dion Talk Financial Freedom, his binder strategy, BINDER. Check out his video. It is classic and it nails the points that you need to cover when raising someone's rent. You're not going for top of the market, especially if they're good tenants, but you do need to not be losing, because if you've done the math, right? $400 a month times 12 months is $4,800, but that $4,800 is direct to bottom line. It's direct. That's all profit. So that's $5,000 extra that you're leaving on the table. Sure, you've done the math. Now, that being said, I get that you want to keep the tenants. I know that's a super hot market. It's not hard to get tenants. And so what I would do is I would lay it out in the binder strategy real briefly. 30,000 foot view on the binder strategy is, here's the units close by. A lot of times in Miami, it's the same building, right? Around the same floor. Here's the units in that building. Here's what they're renting for. And basically it's, please tell me what you'd be comfortable paying from a monthly basis. If we can make it work, I'd love to have you stay. If we can't, I understand. Being 60 days away from lease expiration, this is the perfect time to do it. So Basilio, my homework for you is go check out Dion's binder strategy video, put that together, and then make the magic happen. He does it and delivers that information in person. For me, I can't deliver it in person. A lot of certainly not now with my daughter's situation. But I will send them an email with a couple of the, a couple slides in it. We thought about mailing a bind. So if we have a couple older tenants that we'd probably mail them because they don't have email, we'd probably just mail them a booklet and just say, hey, just kind of go through that and, and basically let us know, circle back with us in the next couple of weeks of what your answer is. That's what I would do. Jennifer Medina, that was a great video with your math on Mike's roof. Thank you, Jennifer. Yeah, I didn't expect to get it that close. I expected to be within 3%. So the fact that I was in less than 1%, I was like, holy cow. Maybe I am that good. I'm just teasing. It's just a joke. Chris Miller, good morning, Matt. What are your thoughts on metal roofs versus shingles or rubber? Rubber's expensive, but it's got pretty good life. It really depends on the slant of the roof. Yep. Or the rake of the roof, which is, is it this, or is it this? If it's a low slant roof, my preference is rubber. If it's a decently slanted roof, metal's okay. I don't love metal. My preference is 30-year architectural shingles. That's my preference. I've heard that the metal roofs can be loud. I've done it on a couple houses, but I then sold those houses, so I don't know. But I heard it can be loud. So yeah, so I don't do metal roofs really. But yeah, 30-year architectural shingles. If we have too flat of a roof, I'll do a rubber membrane roof. And there's nothing cheap about them. They're probably, if I'm doing a 30-year arc shingle roof at 500 and 550 or so a square, rubber is probably 900 a square. So it might not be twice the price, but it might be, 50 or 60% more expensive. But yeah, I've had rubber roofs that have had issues and they can patch them in most cases. But yeah, make sure it's the actual rubber membrane roof and it's not some silly alternative. Because what they'll actually do is they'll actually torch it down. They'll actually torch that stuff down. So, yep. That's my take on them. William Batista, how could I structure cash purchase on a new rental purchase, fixer or not, but the actual money is coming from a current rental? I'm still in the process of the cash out refi on. FYI, no appraisal ordered yet. You can't, because no one knows what that thing's going to be worth. Yep. You can't. I mean, there's the gap stuff that Jennifer talked about, but depending on, some people might not say that's a good use of gap. So largely speaking, usually, William, you can't, because you've already got a loan in process on it. No, I don't know why you wouldn't have gotten the appraisal ordered yet. Like I would get that ordered like too sweet, unless you're not done. And if you're not done, then yeah, no lender is going to give you money on a property that's not done, unless you're really hard money. Unless you're looking at hard money. Hard money will do a deal like that, but you're going to pay a lot of points for it. I would get, if you had a deal that you were trying to get done, I would do a hard money loan on the new deal or a non-QM loan on the new deal. Hard money or non-QM on the new deal. So you still get the deal done, but you wouldn't be able to, you wouldn't be able to get the money out. There's no faster way to get the money out of your other property other than a refi or a refi on either a refi or a HELOC. There's no faster way to get it out that I've seen. If there is, please let me know. John Doe, Pocahontas told me you didn't build your own business, Matt. Pocahontas. I know exactly who that is. Yeah. What has she ever built? That's my answer to that. So again, my name is Matt. I'm the Lumberjack Landlord. Super excited to have you here. If you haven't asked a question, please feel free. I'm getting caught up. I'm picking up pace and speed, but the questions are good. So we want to make, it's not about speed for me. It's about accuracy and delivering message and making sure that I answer the question. But we own over 100 units. We are landlords of over 100 units. We self-manage, and I built my business over 20 years, and I don't own anything bigger than a 12 unit. So no more than 12% of my entire portfolio is in one building. So we have a lot of buildings. We have like 35 buildings. So if it's maintenance, I've done it. Crimson Knight, do you look at comparable rentals that are way under over market as rent as future for sale? Someone in Manchester is renting a completely renovated unit for $1,300 when housing pays $1,450. Yeah. So what I've done is I've actually bought those. That's what I do. I buy them because it's a fully rented unit or fully renovated unit, but they clearly aren't tapped into the value. You know, that's where the Lamborghini house was a crusher. If you guys look at the Lamborghini house, I bought that property with one unit vacant and it was only doing $3,000 a month. That building will be doing in the next 30 days, that building will be doing $6,000 a month. So I bought it based on $3,000. I bought it based on, I bought it based on 3 units being vacant, or 1 unit being vacant, 3 units being occupied, but the rents were so low. They're all well below housing. So when you look at properties like that, they'll only be able to get X number of dollars in the market because their rents will only make sense to a certain degree. Anybody that's looking at that deal is looking for that upside, what I call value investing. Value investing is the best investing that I've ever found because I bought this building based on rents of about $3,000 a month. It had a cap of how much anybody could pay for it because of what they would be able to get back. Here's the sin. The landlord was just dumb and lazy. He didn't fill out the paperwork annually, just annually. Send in the paperwork annually. This is what I want for this unit because of what we're getting. In the 5 years that those people lived there, he never sent the report in one time. So guess what? They're paying $1,100 a month when housing will pay $1,600, $1,700 a month. Would he have still needed to sell the property if he was making an extra $600 or $700 a month on that one unit? One unit. It's just, and his other rents are 35% below housing, not even the market, but 35% below housing numbers. Guys, the numbers just don't make sense on any level. They just don't make sense. So yeah, so for me, it's, we'll put ourselves in the position to do the right thing from a business perspective. We don't want to force people out of their homes. And so we'll work with them and say, hey, we'll do the binder strategy with them, kind of our version of the binder strategy. We'll do that with them and have that conversation with them and, see if we can get them to stay. Because it's not all about the money, but it has to be a little bit about the money. It does. It's a business. It's a business. And in a lot of cases, like I said, it's the housing authorities that just haven't been sent the paperwork. I took a shower last night and then I put a hat on. Good stuff. So yeah, so that's the value investing at its best, Crimson Knight. Dion Amy, I am just listening this morning. My daughter is with me in the front room with me, but she is watching cartoons, but she wanted to spend time with her dad this morning. I love it. That's exactly what we do on Saturdays with Mike Zuber's One Rental at a Time broadcast. It's exactly what we do. Hang out in the family room. I watch it and they're just picking up on, we're playing on the floor, but they're also listening. So I want them around that. Also, someone in Manchester thinks they can rent out a unit in a duplex for $2,200, 2-bedroom. It's nice, but he is shooting for the moon. He is, Crimson, but here's the thing. What if he gets 21? What if he gets 22? What if he gets 21? I think that sits on the market for a long time and becomes that loss leader for you in that market, where you can then get something rented for $2,000 or $2,100, which is a lot more, right? But yeah, some people are, I mean, that some of the rents are insanity. Jeremy Kirkwood, there are many reasons that solar might be smart. If you Airbnb, you carry utilities, so reduction of utility costs is important. Yep. On one property, my electrical bill is 4K per year. I spend 1,800 to finance. Sure. Yep. Yeah, it just depends on, go and try and sell that house with that solar on there. If you have the solar on there and you don't actually own it and it's still being financed, guess what has to happen? So, like I said, I've done a ton of research on that, and there is no easy answer. Good luck trying to sell the house with solar on it, because then they have to continue the contract. Number one. Number two is the contract then has to, in some cases, be completed. It's not an easy thing to transition out of that property. I'm not saying that you have to sell the property, but what if you did have to sell the property? And I'm pretty sure that there's terms in those contracts where they then requalify the actual person. What if that person doesn't have the best credit, but they're still able to buy the house because lending conditions have gone down? There's a lot of things to it. It's just another hand in the pocket of doing it. So if you can do it where you own everything, okay, fine. But that's the number I'm looking at. I'm not looking at leases. I'm looking at owning it, because I need to own it on my house. Because if I own it on my house, then it's still my house. If you have leased equipment on your house, it's not like a cable modem that you unplug and you bring it back to Xfinity. It's a solar. It's your electrical system entirely. So that's my take on it. Sound Snags. Hey, Sound Snags, good to have you back. Hey, Matt, I'm in position to house hack a 900K duplex or buy a small townhouse to live in and buy a separate rental, still spending the same 900K. How would you run the numbers on those paths? I like it. How I would run the numbers is only one way. I would run the numbers one way, from the perspective of return on your capital. Just that simple. Return on your capital. Which one makes you more money? My preference, for me, if it were me, my shoes, not investing advice, not legal advice, don't sue me, bro. For me, I would rather house hack the duplex and then get another duplex in a year, 18 months, 24 months, because that's how you build your kingdom. That's my preference. If you buy the townhouse and buy, I think you said townhouse and duplex, right? And then not house hack and then not basically just buy the duplex outright. The only problem is, I think on that duplex, you then get an investor loan. So you're not getting it at 3 and 3.5 or 5% down. So I think run those. That's how I would run the numbers. Is I would run the numbers on those two pieces that I just mentioned. But I think you'll get a far better rate if you do an owner occ on the duplex. You buy it, you live there, and then you do another one in 12 or 18 months. I think you do a much better. I think it's much better for you. And see, so Jeremy Kirkwood, so you have state taxes, right? On you. So yeah, so Sound Snags, hopefully that helps. Fill me in below if I missed anything. Jeremy Kirkwood, it reduced my state tax bill by 30K, 26% federal tax reduction, which is helpful. 1-to-1 cost increase in home value here. Yeah, so we don't have a state tax here. We don't have state tax. So I'm not going to see anything. That's why largely in my state, it just doesn't make sense. We don't have state tax. Yep. Yep. Price and Pride. I noticed Mike got rid of his granny hutch to refresh his background. When are you going to follow suit with the studio refresh? I'm actually moving studios, building a brand new fresh one. Yep. Yep. This was my office and then also my studio. So, hey, I just saw a bunch of people join. Thanks so much for joining. I'm Matt, aka the Lumberjack Landlord. We own over 100 units, own them. We own them. We're not a syndicator. We own our 100 units, over 100 units. We self-manage. We built the business from scratch, myself and my wife. I started it. And then when we got married, we continued to build it. And we just like to be here on Sundays and answer people's real estate questions. If you've ever considered investing in real estate, and we do it all, construction all the way through just buying a property and getting a good return. So yeah, so I'm actually building a brand new studio. Going to be a space further away from the kids. But yeah, this is my office, so I spend a lot of time here. Indeedy. John Etherton. Speaking of IBC, did you ever hear from your rep for me? No, I didn't. Well, I did. I heard from my plumber that he hadn't heard back from the rep. I think they're just slammed right now. I think they're just going nuts. I think they're a Canadian company that's making their product. So they are just absolutely slammed. Thank God we have a dealer kit, because I know that I assume they're getting their stream hit. But Don, let me take that down as a note. I'm going to reach back out to him again. I asked him last week and he said he would reach out to him again. So IBC for Don. Yeah, love those IBCs. Again, it was a significant part that went. It was a blower motor. And the fact that they could swap it out within 2 hours, and then it took less than an hour's labor to do it, like, holy cow. That's like nirvana. Love it. Chris Miller, Matt, what is your ideal heating system and why? Oil, natural gas, pump, etc. Natural gas IBC boiler, IBC combi boiler. That's my ideal setup. That's what we have. When we need to replace a system, that's our go-to. Forced hot water, natural gas, IBC combi boiler. So it does on-demand hot water and forced hot water. Those boilers are a little bit more expensive than others, but they're spectacular. They're spectacular. We had, for the very first time, Chris, I'm not sure if you're watching the very beginning, we had one that died, or one that a part went on, and we were able to get the part replaced in under 2 hours because the vendor had it on his van, because he gets a dealer kit. So all 6 pieces that the system's made of, all the 6 internals, there's the cabinet, but then there's the 6 internal pieces. It was a few screws, pull out the old one, put in the new one after they tested it and it was failed. And so we were back up and running literally in 2 hours on one of the coldest days of the year. Boom, back up and running, crushing it. Tenant said it never even got even a little bit chilly in there. So yeah, my ideal is natural gas, forced hot water, on-demand combi boiler from IBC. Yep, every single time. We've done 20 something of them, and we have more. We have at least 6 more that we're doing this year. Yep. CJ Underwood, 3 Amigos of FI is the move, my friends. Definitely get in. Yeah, CJ Underwood, thanks for saying that. It's free. I can't believe people don't want to get in for free, right? It's free. Come on in, hang out with us. Holy cow, I just hit the button. It refreshed a ton of messages. Dear heavens. Shamir Bless. Hey, Matt, good day. Do you buy in areas where cap rate is high and appreciation is low, like a C-class property? Yep. Sure. Yep. I don't usually look at cap rate a whole lot. I really look at return. I don't like the way that cap rate's figured. I just prefer my just straight return on capital. Yep. Which is just, here's all in what my expenses are. Here's the money that I put into the deal. Here's my return on that capital. And so long as it's far above market average, I do the deal. It's pretty straightforward. Yep. JS, what are your thoughts on creative financing? JS, man, that's an easy question. I love creative financing. Love it. Sub 2, whatever it is, like, explore them all. Yep, explore them all. I'd rather do a deal with a person than do a deal with a bank. So yeah, I say explore them all. And then based on that, like, sometimes creative financing is better because you can't get those same terms from the bank. Other times it's better because it's not going to be on your credit. It's not reported on your credit. It's kind of a shadow deal, if you will. But yeah, creative financing, love it. I've only done a couple deals with some creative financing, and they were good. They were fine. Deals worked out. Yep, deals worked out. Angel R, for sewage cast iron clean out. Yep. Cap, do you use lead fits all or rubber conversion when the thread is seized on the cast iron? I use, we'll use the, I think they call them Ferncos. We'll use those. Yep. Yep. We'll use those. That's what we've used in the past anyway. Yeah. Jay Marking, hey Matt, I heard you mention something called a property card on a previous live stream. Can you elaborate on what this is or share an example sometime? Sure. Property card. Basically, what a property card is it's the ability to, when you buy a property, go through the entire property. It takes like 3 hours, but you can usually do it from an inspection report in a lot of cases. But you go through, like, your inspection report will cover one thing or a lot of things like electrical service and things like that. But look at the tags on like your heating system. Look at the type of breakers that you have. Look at the electrical system that you have. Look at the appliances that you have. Look at take down the dates and the model numbers for them. It's really creating a card for each property so you know everything that exists in the property. That way you can replace anything. If a fridge goes, a lot of times, not on the newer ones, because we're getting through a bunch of construction stuff now, then we'll do our property cards. But once we get through all of that, we'll then, if a fridge, so I had one where a fridge failed. Okay. I was able to look it up. It was just in an Excel spreadsheet. I was able to look it up. I knew what type of fridge it was, what the model number was. I sent that to my appliance guy. He's like, yep, cool. I'll get back to you. A couple hours later, sends me something back and he goes, hey, here's everything you need. Yes, we have one in stock that's going to fit. That's simple. Had one in stock that was going to fit. Cool. I can deliver it in 3 days. Awesome. Was able to tell the tenant, hey, we're delivering a new one for you. Because I looked at it and the fridge was like 14 years old. I'm not going to repair a 14-year-old fridge. I just replaced it. A repair is going to cost me $200-300. A replacement cost me $750. I replaced it. So that simple. And that was all not having to go out on site, measure it up. Does this fit? Will this work? It saves. This is how I can manage 100 properties. This is how Ashley and I were able to do it, is because there's a number of things we don't necessarily have to go on site for. Hopefully that helps you. Rob, greetings. Hey, Rob, from beautiful Southern California. Shamir Bless, do you need a real estate license to look on the MLS? What do you do? What do you think of an agent who doesn't look for you, but wants to be a part of the deal when you find one? Yeah, I call them a typical real estate agent. Sorry if anybody here is a real estate agent. Just don't do that. Don't do that, and I won't think that way of you. If you care. So you can't get directly on the MLS. You can get on Zillow. Zillow doesn't update. Zillow doesn't download from MLS. So what I recommend doing is, as you're building your network, working with multiple agents and saying, hey, this is who I am. This is what my buy box is. Can you set up a search for me? And that way, as soon as something hits their MLS search, you're going to get it. Well, based on the criteria you give them, you're going to get that. And then you can call them and say, hey, I saw this house. This is something I'm really interested in. If they're doing their job, they look at it and say, oh my gosh, this hit, Shamir's buy box. Let me give him a call. Yep. For those of you just joining, Lumberjack Landlord, I own over 100 units and manage them all with my lovely wife, Ashley, who's a real estate professional. And we're here answering questions on lovely Sunday, where we like to go and spend time with folks talking about real estate. So ask your questions. I'm happy to answer. So yeah, they all want to be, so to close on that question, Shamir, they all want to be a part of the deal. Of course they do. Unbelievable. There are 20% of agents that do their job. There are 5% of agents that do their job well. And then there are 80 that should get out of business because they don't add any value whatsoever. And in fact, often when they speak, they don't know of what they speak. Yeah. But like I said, there's that 5%, man, they're good. They're awesome. Then there's the next 15 who can functionally do their job. And they can do their job, pretty well. And then there's the next 80% below, which is just total garbage. Yeah. Waiting for the hate mail from brokers. I really don't care. you don't want that said, it's not directed towards you unless you are that. There's plenty of brokers that do a good job. Dion Talk Financial Freedom. How's the book coming? Slow. I realize that I'm really slow at reading, but I realized I'm even slower at is writing. So it's coming, but yeah, not with any progress. Not literally the last 3 weeks, I haven't even touched it because we've been absolutely slammed with ridiculous garbage weather. Brutal. Jennifer Medina. Yes. Okay. Yeah. No, not on the Gap. Don't love it. No need to discuss. Yeah. Jennifer Medina. No need to discuss. Was wondering your experience if you had used Gap. Don't like it. Shamir. I didn't know that there was such a huge housing demand in New Hampshire until I started watching your channel. Yep. I know owner occupants in NH is still pretty high. It is. Yep. It is, but we have a lot of people that want to live here because we have no sales tax and we have no income tax. And we were the #2 state in the country for increased population per capita. People want to live here. We were a best kept secret. I had the choice to choose Massachusetts, New Hampshire, or Maine when I was looking to invest. And I loved everything that New Hampshire had to offer far more than any of the other options in Maine and Mass. It was a much, much, much better fit. The government is far more aligned with landlords, i.e. they listen to logic and reason, because a majority of their tax base is property taxes. And if landlords aren't getting paid their rent, the state isn't getting paid, or the city isn't getting paid their property taxes. So yeah, yep, it's very good. I love New Hampshire. Justin Wachter, question on getting capital for the next deal. We've added bedrooms and bathrooms to our current house, hack, taking appraisal from 288 to around 380 to 400. Very good. Is the best route to cash out refi, plan to move into the next multifamily and use less money down or FHA? Yep. Or just save up the cash over time, probably need 60 to 100K down, and we can save about 40K per year. Dustin Wachter, I love it. I love it. All right. So if I were in your shoes, this isn't legal advice or investment advice, so don't sue me, bro. But if I were in your shoes, I would do exactly what you're doing. I would look at what the rates are for the cash out refi. I would be making sure that you're not cash out refining into an FH or into a FHA loan. I would then use the FHA loan on your next purchase to be then an owner occupied multifamily, like a duplex or a triplex. And that's what I would do if I were in your shoes. I'm listening to my child cough, just making sure that there's I coughed after. I might have to dash into the next room. Thankfully, I don't. So yeah, so I think, so Dustin, you're thinking about it exactly the right way. That's exactly what I did. Yep. We would buy a duplex, add value, refi, get into a normal loan, then out of that loan, getting into a normal loan there, and then use an FHA or a small down payment conventional to get into the next one. That's what we did time after time after time. That's how I built the empire. Yep, that's exactly it. J Markey, Matt, what criteria do you use to evaluate lawn and snow removal contractors? That one is that one's a little bit tough. It's usually cost, and cost is a part of it. On the lawn thing, that's a little bit easier, just because there doesn't have to be a level of immediacy there. If they miss it by a couple days, fine. If you miss snow by a couple days, you're going to get a tenant wanting to cut you. And so on the snow side, it's much more referral based. What I actually did for a number of years is as I added properties, I would go to the effort of finding a new one. And just saying, hey, what do you want? Do you do any properties in the area? What's your rate? Do you salt and sand? Do you just plow? What kind of truck do they have? i.e., do they have a 9.5-foot extendable plow that can shrink down to 7.5? Do they have just a 9.5-foot standard, a 7.5-foot standard? I would look at that sort of stuff. And so price, but then I had 3 or 4 plow contractors. You know what? Thank God I did. Because this year we had 2 guys retire. 2 guys retired from snow plowing. So I was left with 2 guys. So I have 1 guy that does a little bit. I have 1 guy that does a lot of it. And we've just been going that path. And so we'll see how the season goes. Yep. So these were at that point, they were known entities. We know that they didn't have issues with doing a good job. We know that they could fit in the driveways that we had, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The big key is we start talking to people in August about what the coming year, about what that coming winter is going to look like. So we didn't get caught flat-footed. So we were able to make the transition from one company to another, where he could then see all the properties without any snow and know that he could fit in all of them with his truck, because he also sands and salts. So, yep, we did that. Yep. GOP 147, house hacking is the absolute best way to get started. My first purchase in 1994 was a 3-unit. I also rented bedrooms in my apartment to friends. 100% agree with you. Grand slam. House hacking allowed me to save enough to purchase the restaurant I worked for 3 years. I try to get everyone to start out with a house hack, but most opt for an expensive single. Yeah, no kidding. Hey, listen, at the end of the day, I get it. I'm with you. I preach it all the time. What's really funny is one of my buddies, I won't say his name because I think he might watch, and I don't want to out him because I know some of my other buddies watch too. He bought an extremely expensive single family row house. Yeah, row house. Yep. And what's a row house? It's a house. It's a row of houses. He still shares walls on both sides of him, but it's a single family home. So dumb. You know who you are if you're watching. I won't say your name, but that's so dumb. It's just dumb. Buy a duplex. You're going to be sharing a wall on only one side as opposed to on both sides. It would have been about the same price, but he'd be living there for about $4,000 a month less. Can lead them to water, G-up, but you can't make them drink. But I love that you try and help people out like that. JC Blast. Hey, man, how you doing? Tardy to the party. That's okay. Just sitting back and enjoying the content. That's all right. We're at cruising altitude, so feel free to pull out those trade tables, and no, your waitress will not be bringing some drinks by. Haven't worked out that feature in YouTube Live yet. Hey, Matt, what are your favorite exterior paints? Benjamin Moore. I'm a Benjamin Moore guy. Yep. Benjamin Moore. I like their product. I think it's as good as the Emerald from Sherwin-Williams, their Regal Select products for exterior. I've not had any issues. And in fact, they make a paint that I've used on siding. It's a specific molecular structured paint. It is awesome. So I've been able to change these ugly yellow houses that I have to my beautiful gray. And so I actually, sadly this year, of the buildings that I bought, I think we got 3 yellows. Because that was a really cheap siding color in the 80s and early 90s. It was a really cheap color. So we're going to get rid of that color, and they're going to be gray they're going to be gray. Yep. My lumberjack landlord gray by the end of the summer. So yeah. So Benjamin Moore, Regal Select exterior paint. Love it. REI Stoners. Hey guys, I'm seeing more than a few houses on the MLS that say under market rents. Why didn't those landlords raise the rents as the years go by? Laziness, too afraid to make it difficult and not finding a new tenant. There might be work that has to be done there in order to get a premium rent. There's a lot of reasons that people don't do it. But that's okay. I'm a value investor. I like that. I like lazy. I love buying lazy. I love buying from lazy landlords. They, unscheduled maintenance or not keeping up on scheduled maintenance, haven't raised the rent, haven't done any real fixes or rehabs or any of this other stuff. For me, there's a lot of those places. So for one of the things for me is there was a lady that moved out of one of my unit or one of the units that I bought. She didn't want to do the rent increase. The rent she was only paying $850 a month, which is legitimately rent in that area is $1,400. $550 a month. So what did I do? I'm like, you know what? Now's the time. Let's reno it. Renoed it, spent $10,000 renoing it. It's going to return on capital in less than 2 years. But now I've got the higher market rent, which actually drastically increases the value of the property. I don't look at the value of the property, but I want to know that if I make the right investment, my rents are going to go higher. If I ever had to sell, it's worth more with a much higher rent than it is on a lower rent. Because let's face it, if you're value investing, guess what? You're not paying full boat retail. You're paying probably close to retail on what the current rents are. Not close to rent, not close to retail based on what the rents could be or a renovated unit. So, yep. So that's why people do that, REI Stoners. And by the way, shout out to REI Stoners. He answered the question right on my Instagram at Lumberjack Landlord. You guys got to join at Lumberjack Landlord. I haven't seen nearly enough requests for people to join and follow me on Instagram. We just did a tub refinish. It was $1,200. And it would have been $3,500 to replace. I think almost everybody selected replace it. The funny thing is that cast iron tubs with that porcelain on them are extremely, extremely durable. That tub's probably been there for 70 years. If we can sand it and refinish it and sand and redo the surround around it and make it beautiful and sprayed white so it's super durable, that looks brand new for $1,200. It would not look any better if I spent $3,500 and put a newer, lesser quality tub in its place. It just wouldn't look any better. So for $1,200, I then saved myself, $2,400 or $2,300. Save myself $2,300. That $2,300 paid for granite countertops in the kitchen. And it wasn't the difference. It actually paid for all of the granite countertops in the kitchen. So my option before, and so I saved myself $1,000 on that. So I took that money, redeployed it, got granite in the kitchen. The $1,200 I was going to have to do like butcher block in the kitchen. Now I didn't have to do butcher block. Now I got to do granite, and I'm still ahead of the game. I'm now $1,200 ahead of the game because I didn't have to do the butcher block. I got to do the granite. So that $1,200 then we put into other stuff because we still were okay with how much money we were going to spend on the unit. But that $1,200, I think we went with upgrading. We did our normal door package. What did we put in for that $1,200? Oh, I think appliances. I think we went with nicer appliances. So yeah. Yep. That's how it goes. Don Etherton at Chairman Kirkwood. I looked into solar here in Arizona and the cost is $25,000. Yep. What is your way of keeping walkways, driveways ice free? It's impossible. It's impossible. The only thing that we can do is when it gets plowed, ice, salt, not the salt that instantly goes away, but there's a higher end salt. I don't remember what it's called. You can buy it at Home Depot. It doesn't affect concrete. But that stuff, because when stuff starts to freeze over, if you've laid good enough coat on it, it won't form. And the same thing with sand. So a combination sand salt mix, and you largely won't get ice there because it won't be able to form. Because it will melt on any water, and then the sand will give you traction. The only key is you clear it and then sand and salt it, and that seemingly does the trick. Chris Miller, the problem with the housing authority in my area is they base the amount they will pay on income of the tenant. Yep, they do that here too. It has nothing to do with the property type and fair market rents. Nope, that's the same here. Yep, it's only bedroom count. That's it. That's the only thing that so they pay you based on the number of beds and then the amenities that you're going to kick in, like hot water, sewer, trash removal, electricity, cable, whatever you include in, then they give you that factor price. And then let's say it's $1,400, and then they say, well, based on the tenant's income, They chip in $300 a month and they pay you $1,100. So it works exactly the same way here. Yep. Dancing alone with rentals, 23 likes, 53 watchers. 24 likes now just arrived. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, I like this stuff, people. This is quality content. Where are you going to get the depth and breadth like this? Just teasing. But yeah, hit that like button for me, please. Or tickle it. A gentle tickle. All works. Jeremy Kirkwood, you were right about the payments on solar. Yep, I would complete the contract. Good point. Never lease it. Yep, I own. Yep, exactly. The other thing that you may not think about is that the depreciation of cells is far less than increase in energy costs. Yep, 14% energy rate increase this year. Yeah, totally agree with you on that, 100%. Because 20-year, like I said, I mean, I've read all the studies on 20-year-old panels and them being like single digits, like anywhere from 4 to 8% efficiency loss. But to your point, you make that up. I mean, again, so I'm not saying that I'm not saying at all the cell technology, not that piece at all. I'm more focused on the batteries and the storage of that, because for a lot of people, their electric doesn't completely go away. It doesn't. There's still a small bill that they'll get every month. So yeah, so I totally agree. I think that if the tax credits are there, local and federal, I would do it. I would 100% do it, but I would want to own them. I just looked at with a buddy of mine. He had a $75,000 project, and that was after all the tax credits that he was going to get. It was still $75,000. His electric bill is only $375 a month. I'm like, 20 years. Are you going to be in that house for 20 years? And you're still going to have an electric bill. Still going to have an electric bill. So yeah, that's why if the incentives were there or the price dropped dramatically, I'd do all my houses tomorrow. Yeah. Love solar. I really do. Yep. And I've been looking at solar for well over a decade. Yeah. I've been looking at solar since probably 2006 on our buildings. Yep. Yep. Just can't get the way to give me the return that I want to get. Just nowhere near it. I'm scared to hit this button. Oh my goodness, it wasn't that bad. If I hit that button, yeah. Yep. Sorry, I was a little bit nervous with how many more questions I had missed. But I'm actually, oh yeah, crap, it just refreshed. Son of a gun. You ever feel like you're running in quicksand? I do. It's all good though. GOP 147. I purchased a 5-unit 3 years ago in Rochester. Okay, cool. On paper, it's free and clear because I used a 2.24% HELOC to purchase. I love it. I owe around 99K. Yeah. So the only thing that I would have done in that case, oh, see, okay. Would you? Yeah. Okay. There you go. So would you do a cash out refi property for additional purchases? Just hate the terms on commercial loans. Are you over GOP 147? Is it because you're over 10? Why would you be a purchase of 5-unit? I see. Do a non-QM. Now's still the time. You can still get a good rate and a good program through a non-QM lender. Yep, Lima Capital is one that I've had a number of conversations with. The best one I think so far is Steve Dow at Velocity Mortgage. I would have a conversation with Steve Dow at Velocity. Because that's a non-commercial. It's 30-year fixed rate debt through a non-QM lender. I think you'll like the terms that he'll give you, especially on one that is seasoned. Sorry, seasoned was the word I was looking for. Seasoned was the word I was looking for. Yeah, it's good stuff. Yep. Yeah, I like that. Don Etherton, help Matt out. Hit the like button. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Yeah, if we're going to help Mike at one rental at a time, help 1 million people, I'm definitely not pulling my fair share. That's for sure. I mean, I do a lot of live stream, but I'm not pulling my fair share at all. Yeah, Dion and Mike get far more people involved than I do. So I'm trying to get as many people involved as they do just to try and help out the cause of 1 million people getting helped. Abdul Mateen Sadeth. Hey, Abdul, it's been a few weeks. Good to have you here. Also the best and most reliable REI on YouTube. Don't forget to add that. Oh, appreciate that. Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, there's some real garbage out there, honestly. Yeah, I'm excited to work with Dion and Mike. I think that they add value. Most importantly, I won't do anybody that looks at something and then forms an opinion from it that isn't in the game doing the work. I don't care what their opinion is because they haven't lived it. They haven't walked a mile in my shoes. They don't know what it's like to manage an angry tenant. Like, it can be really easy decision to make on a spreadsheet, but I care about the people that I'm renting to. And so just because a spreadsheet says it doesn't mean I do it. I like my people, I like my tenants. I want to take care of them. It's my job to provide good housing. So that's why we address problems so quickly. You know, we had that. I mean, I got 6 o'clock on a Saturday night. I'm, fixing a broken water line, and God bless my plumber who did it. We were making all the calls and coordinating everything. Yeah. Jay Markey, Matt, just viewed a single family home with a skylight in the roof. Should I be concerned that this might start leaking in the future? Thanks. No, it's really all how they're flashed. I've had skylights. I have some buildings that have had skylights for 30 years, 40 years even. Didn't drip a bit. It's all how it's flashed. Yep, it's all how it's flashed. And then Velco. Yeah, there's a certain skylight company out there that's kind of the standard on standard skylight sizes. I've not had any issues with any of theirs, and we've done a number of them. Yep. So yeah, you shouldn't be concerned. You should watch it, but I wouldn't be concerned. One thing that I would give you a tip to do is on the inside of the house. Can you do that? Depending on where it is, like if it's in a cathedral ceiling, or like just depends on where it is. If you can get access to the inside of the plywood there, I would just look and see if you see any staining. That's one of the things I would do. Sometimes you can get access to them, sometimes you can't. It really depends. William Batista, when house hacking and moving primary residences every 12 to 18 months, what's your go-to answer to banks when the question petitioning for another owner-occupied loan? Great question. So that's where Fannie Freddie they stopped. So now they stop you at 10. They don't stop you before 10. You can only have one FHA loan active. And so you have to refi out of your FHA if you have an FHA and into a conventional loan. The next thing that I tell them is I'm strategically picking a house, right? So I'm saying it's bigger, it's closer to work, it's something, it's a better neighborhood, there are better schools. When you look at a property, you can usually, if you know your market, you can ascertain exactly what the values of that property are. It's bigger, it's newer, it's whatever. Like, we've used all of those. Now, they're always true. We don't lie. We tell the truth, but we call out the facts of why we're making that move. We moved to get my wife closer to work. We moved to get me closer to work on one. More bedrooms, larger house, newer house. These are all things that we used as reasons for the lender. Yep. They're all valid reasons. Yep. You can also ask, but look up online. There's a bunch of people that do it. Don't lie. Do not lie. I don't advocate lying at all. You need to be truthful, but do all the research on the property and then compare it to where you're at, and then create the narrative based on what that is. Because for us, all of those things that we stated were true, every single one of them. And it was up to them to approve or deny them. And that person's making the decision. It's not Fannie and Freddie making the decision. It's the underwriter in that bank making the decision. So if they say no, that's not no for Fannie Freddie. If they say no, that's no for them in what they believe that they can't get that, done. So that's what we did. That's what I would do. But we were always honest about it. Jeremy Kirkwood, Don, if that covers all heat, cool, and electrical on 3.2 or 4.2 at around 2,000 square feet on a property at 25K, it may be a good deal. Look at the utility rates and how long hold it and incentives locally. Yep, agreed. William Bautista. Thanks. Thumbs up. Appreciate that, William. Appreciate that, you guys. Jay Markey, where do you prefer to purchase appliances? HD or other resources? Thanks. Well, you asked the question, so now I have to answer it. I used to give one of the big box stores, not Home Depot, but the other one. I used to give them about $30,000 to $40,000 a year in purchases and appliances. And then they made the mistake of not standing behind a warranty that was clearly their responsibility. They chose not to do it. So I talked to the assistant store manager and the store manager, and they said they weren't going to do anything for me. And I said, sounds good. I will now spend the rest of my life telling people exactly what my experience was with your store. So that's what I did. And they didn't stand behind the product, and they didn't stand behind what they should have done. I would have hoped that they wouldn't have even treated a normal customer like they treated me, but I give them 30 grand a year, 30 grand a year in appliances. So for those of you who aren't amazing at math, I own 100 properties. You know how many refrigerators I own? 100. Do you know how many stoves I own? 100. Do you know how many dishwashers I own? Like 70. Do you know how many washers and dryers I own? Sets? Probably 70. So real quick math, I own like 500 appliances. I'm a massive appliance purchaser. Think about that. Think about that. I own probably 500 appliances, microwaves, dishwashers. Yeah, microwaves. So stoves, microwaves, and refrigerators, I have them in every unit. That's 300. Washer and dryer, like I said, 70, so that's 140, so that's 440. And then dishwashers, probably about 70. Yeah, so I own over 500 appliances. And you're not going to treat me right? Sounds good. See you, bye. So I actually just contacted a couple of the local appliance shops. I had a conversation with them. I said, this is who I am. This is my purchase record. I literally showed them this is what my purchases were over the last 5 years. And they were like, whoa. And I was like, I'd love to bring my business to you, but I can't pay retail. You got to work with me. You just have to work with me. I said, because I usually can get 10% off at that other big box store with a coupon. So work with me and I'll work with you. And I've worked with them for now 9 months, and they've been spectacular. They've been absolutely spectacular. Absolutely love it. And we'll never go back, and we'll always tell people, pick a local appliance store. Don't buy from the big boxes. It's worth the extra little bit of money to work for a local guy who will use employees to deliver it, number one. And number two, somebody that can service it, because that's a big thing now. Yep, that's a big thing now. Let's see. Okay, Eric Saleh. LOL. 9th grade education, slowing concentration on reading and writing, but not adding and subtracting math for investments. Yeah. Yeah, it's the truth. Yeah. Can't wait for the book. Yeah, thank you. Me too. Yeah, I'm excited to read my own book. I actually have to go back and reread what I've written a lot of times just to remember kind of what I said and what I haven't said. Oh yeah, that way I don't hand it off to an editor and they're like, dude, you said like the same thing like 9 times. And it wasn't different at all. It was the same thing. So I'm just trying to make sure I'm not like, giving you the same year segments exactly the same way. So yeah. Isn't a row house basically a condo? It can be. I forget what the circumstances were for them that it wasn't. There were some, it was like a modified condo. So yeah, it was like a modified condo. There was something specific about the row house that he bought that made it not specifically a condo and made it something else. I think it might've been because of the age, because we have a lot of old stuff here where we are. So was it maybe a co-op? I don't know. I'd have to ask him. But it was something specific that didn't make it exactly a condo, but like a condo-ish. So yeah, you're generally speaking, you're correct. Stephen Gutierrez, can I come work for you? Born and raised in New York City, there's no freedom here. In all seriousness, what advice, if any, for someone looking to move for New Hampshire, best city or town. So Stephen, I don't have any employees. Otherwise we could talk. It depends on what your skills are, Stephen. It depends on what your skills are. If you're in the building trades on the coast, you can make really good money. And then you just need to rent more inland and then drive to the coast. If it's more like, drop me an email. Drop me an email. Tell me what your skills are. Send me your resume. Drop me an email. Send me your resume. Let me see if I can help you. Or worst case, at least put you in the hands of a couple of decent recruiter headhunters here on the coast where they can, see if they have anything for you. Shoot me your resume. Lumberjacklandlord@gmail.com. Lumberjacklandlord@gmail.com. Yeah, NYC's tough right now. It's just tough. It's tough. Yeah, I get it. But I'm not going to talk political because that's not my deal. Con in Florida, if I buy a duplex and move to one apartment and rent the other, can I use the potential rental? Yes, you can. Yep. To help get financing. Yep. DTI. Yep. You can. Yes, Con, you can. Yep. Yeah. Just talk to your bank first because they will tell you how much of that you can use. They will tell you how much of that. Usually it's, the rules have varied in the last few months. I've seen 75%, I've seen 80, and I've seen 85%. So I've seen it across the board. So yeah, you can. Yep. Yes, you can. William Batista, when leaving current single-family home to another single-family home as a primary, do banks just take market rent and apply it when there's no tenant in place yet? No, they don't. They'll usually take, you have to provide them with information. Don't rely on them. Provide them information. And then they'll usually count 80 to 85% of what the proposed rent is. The only thing I would recommend is before you make that move to something else, you're better off having a lease in place, even if it begins in 90 days. But you're better off having a lease in place because then it's a contract signed that somebody's saying, I'm going to spend this much money to live here. And then they'll usually take 75, 80, or 85% of that. Hopefully that helps. Julie Anderson, I bought my 11 unit from a lazy landlord. Yep. I bought my 12 from a slumlord. We've spent 40 grand there in the first 5 months. It was money I planned on spending, but yeah, we spent 40 grand there in the first 5 months. Yep. I plan on spending 100. And so I expect the other project is replacing every window in the place, and there's 84 windows. I'm just negotiating that price right now. Jay Markey, Matt, any suggestions for cleaning gutters on a 2-story duplex? They are pretty full and pulling away from the house in some spots. Yep. Should we just contract it out? Yeah, contract it out. Yep. What you want to do is you want to find a company. The only other thing that you can do is I've rented a lift. And then, like one of the ones that you tow behind your car, towed it behind my truck, rented the lift, brought it on, got it flat and level, put one of the guys up in the bucket, and then they just literally went through and they just scooped it out and dropped it on the ground below. That simple. Yep. Yep. So yeah, I would contract it out. It's not too expensive. But yeah, if you wanted to do it yourself, like it's much less expensive. If you find somebody that's, willing to work for, if you have somebody that kind of like does odd man jobs for 20, 25 bucks an hour, and you have workman's comp, which costs only a few $100 a year to have, they can go up in it. Again, not legal advice, not contracting advice. That's what I've done in the past. It's worked out for me pretty well. Eric Saleh, speaking of tub refinish, did you know you can refinish old pink, blue, and brown tiles the same as the tub? Yep, I did. I just would never want to do that. People, what's cool about that is like the trendy stuff. So I have this one landlord that I work with. And when I say work with, like we're in the same business, right? They are so like special design. Gross. They have stuff that they did that was trendy 5 years ago that looks like crap now. Guess what they have to do? Now it's like, oh yeah, now everybody that walks in, they're like, yeah, yeah, no, I don't really like that. You know what? My stuff is timeless. I've been painting the same color for over a decade and people love it. You can look at Amazing Landlord project or Amazing Lumberjack project on my channel. Look at that video. I redid that entire house and it's the same template as all of my rentals. Same cabinets, same countertops, same electrical switches, everything is the same. We did, and that was my own personal house. That was actually a house that I lived in. Single family. That was the first single family that I had lived in, that I bought with my wife. It was the first single family I bought with my wife. Yep. Drew A, how do you estimate taxes into your purchase? Sometimes online sites are accurate because of homestead tax laws. How do I estimate taxes into my purchase? So I believe and I don't know this. I'm not familiar with what homestead keeps out of stuff. But I can tell you that our roster, so our town has their tax report that they do, and taxes are, I believe property taxes are public record. So we've always seen it if we didn't see it in some cases we saw on the MLS listing when we were buying something that the number was low or we felt it was low. I called the city. And asked them, are these the current taxes on this? Or what are the taxes on this? And they told me. So yeah, that's how I did it. I don't know how that applies to homestead. So I'm sorry. I don't know. I'm not familiar with homestead stuff. Jeremy Kirkwood, do they get you on vehicle taxes in New Hampshire? Just wondering how the state gets their money. It's all property, Jeremy. It's all property. So my property taxes here are outrageous. The other thing too is that we're a very conservative state. So we don't have major spending issues. We just don't. We're very conservative in how we spend our money. Yep. Very conservative, which I love. I love how our state manages our budgets. Yep. We found a way to make it work. No income tax, property taxes are high. But the funny thing is, in Massachusetts, right across the border, depending on the town, you'll find that the taxes there might be only 20% less. So they might be an extra $1,000 or $2,000, maybe $3,000 less. But if you make six figures, if you make 100 grand, you're paying 5.5% to them for income tax. So you're minus 2,500. And if you're, owning a house that has that size of a tax bill, it's probably a $500,000 home. So yeah, there's just a lot more services and a lot more things that they pay for in Massachusetts and in Maine. And New Hampshire is not like that. New Hampshire is a lot more. New Hampshire always has, they're kind of like Texas. It's the northern version of Texas. They always have an idea that they want to secede from the United States. I don't want to do that. I love my country. But if it became the country of New Hampshire and it was only run that way, I guess I wouldn't be that upset because I like the way they do it. Yes, property taxes are high, but there's no income tax. And so people keep a lot more of what they earn than paying it out in taxes. So that's as much as I'll say about that. Shamir Bless, do you have any properties that have a negative cash flow? Nope. What do you consider a good cash flow for one property? 150 to 450 or $500 or more? Percentages. So, no, nope. I don't have any. No, nothing negative. Not even close. No. It's not a dollar amount. It's a percentage. So it's always a percentage. Yeah. 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 It's a percentage. Yep. So when I say 25% return on my capital, in this particular case, that's because, that property is going to make 30, or that property will make that's a duplex. That's one duplex that I'll make almost $3,000 a month on. Because I know what I'm buying and I know what I can rent it for. I outbid. So that was 9 offers were looked at on that deal. I wasn't number 1, number 2, or number 3. I was number 4, but I had the cleanest deal, the nicest deal. So we got the deal done, and we just closed on Wednesday, and I already rented the unit for a fair price. And so now that property makes $3,000 a month. Yep. Net? No, not net. Yeah, pretty close to net. Yeah, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance are all in that number. So yeah, pretty close to net. Yep. And so and vehicle taxes, no, they're somewhat there, but mass is way worse. When I had one of my real fancy boy cars, Massachusetts wanted $7,000 for insurance and $5,000 to register it. New Hampshire wanted $1,000 to register it and $1,800 to insure it. Yeah, it wasn't even close. Hard pass. Thanks, Massachusetts. Hard pass. Justin Lord, good morning, Lumberjack. Good morning. Don Etherton, Jeremy Kirkwood. I am considering building in the desert and be totally off grid, so solar will be a must. Yeah, love that, Don, for your project for sure. Justin Lord, I have 2 rentals free and clear. Cool. I'm stuck just keeping my current rental income. Or what do you think about cash out, say 100 on each, and purchasing 1 or 2 more properties? Me personally, the reason that I like that is because you want to make sure that you're still making the income on those properties, number 1. So you want to make sure that you're not turning them into negative cash flow or no cash flow. And the rate that you're going to lock in now, I see rates higher over the next decade. That's what I see. I think rates are going to be higher over the next decade than they are right now. So for me, I spent the last year, don't do what I say, just look at what I did. What I did was I refinanced my entire portfolio that I could refinance. I refinanced every deal that I could. Yep. I refinanced every deal that I could. And so in refinancing every deal that I could, yeah, I think we refied. When I'm done this refi, it'll be close to 20 that I refied, and I pulled cash out on a 70% loan to value ratio, pulled cash out, and I'm using that cash. I'll sit on it for a while, but as deals come up, I will buy deals. And there's still deals that hit every once in a while. I have a deal that I'm going to close on the end of February, which I think is an absolute screamer of a deal. I think that person left so much money on the table. It's not even funny. Yeah, I think that deal's a screamer. Like just, yeah, like screaming with its hair on fire is just like, I think that deal is just an absolute, yeah. I think it's like a motorcycle going past you at 120 miles an hour with its hair on fire. The guy riding it. I just think, yeah, I think that deal's a killer. Yep. So yeah, Justin Lord, that's what I did. I don't say you have to do that, but that's what I did. I took 3 properties I owned free and clear, and I did it. I think it's a better use of capital. For me, it was a much better use of capital. Shamir Bless, when you pull out a HELOC, do you use it as a down payment? So you have to be careful with that. You have to talk to your lender. Some of them want to see that the money's been in your account for at least 90 days. So they understand, or they'll ask the source of it. And then if you say you borrowed it, sometimes that can disqualify you for a loan. And I don't particularly like HELOCs because when the market shifts greatly, all of a sudden they just shut down your HELOC and you're done. The HELOC is open as long as they want it to be, and they can shut it down as soon as they want. And it will hurt your DTI, your debt to income, if you have that HELOC available. And then all of a sudden they shut it off and you're maxed out at your balance, then that's 100% utilization of that HELOC. Yeah, don't like it. Nope, I don't like HELOCs. Don't like them. Yep. REI trainer, time to start an appliance store. Yeah, no kidding. There's certain things that we've gotten big enough where we are, like property management, we're strongly considering stuff like that because we fit the bill of exactly what Mike Zuber wants to have as a guy who manages his properties. He wants somebody that's an investor that understands what investors care about and makes money from being a property manager. Because the ones that, like real estate agents largely, stink at being property managers. Usually they're pretty bad. That's been my experience so far. Lionel Gann, should landlord use surveillance camera in common area for class C and D neighborhood? Just check with your attorney with what's allowed. You can use it, I think, in common. I think you can use it in common area, but you have to post it. I don't know what all the rules are there. We asked specifically our attorney on one specific location because we had a camera pointing at the parking lot, and we posted that it was being surveilled. So yeah. Yep. So I'm not opposed to it. I would do it. The only thing that I would do is I would ask the attorney, your attorney, and what the rules are for that. Crimson Knight, 1921 or 921. Would buying a multifamily after 74 be a good reason for FHA? Crimson Knight, give me more detail, my man. I'm not sure exactly what you're asking. Don Etherton, at J Markey. After you get them clean, you have leaf guard or filter. Yep, to reduce the leaves clogging the gutters. Yep, except get the same material from HD and just have it installed or do it yourself. Yep, totally agree with that. Yep, Jim Markey, thanks, Don. Yeah, that's good. I agree. Don Etherton, my total on all of my properties taxes are a total of 4,900. That's awesome. And on 7 properties, I remember that was the taxes that you pay. Yeah, that's crazy. That's awesome. NH has higher taxes, but the values are higher in mass, so they offset. That's exactly right. Exactly what I was saying. Yep, exactly. But if NH succeeds, you might get the crash you are waiting for. Yeah, maybe. I could see it. I could see it working in our favor. I could also see it not working in our favor. So there's sides to both of it. It's never going to succeed, but let's just say it did. That'd be kind of interesting to see. So I'm the lumberjack landlord. I own 100 properties and 35 buildings, and built my market or built my enterprise over 20 years. And so people come here to ask questions and hear what I did with my strategy. Yeah, that's what I'm here to help with. So I'm here to answer your questions. So if you're watching and hanging out with us, I'm super excited you're here. But would love it if you ask some questions, because that's what I'm here for. That's what I make myself available for. We're going to go and get another 45 minutes or so. And yeah, would love to spend some more time with you guys. JC Blast, can you analyze a random deal on a live stream and show us how you run the numbers and analyze a deal? Sure. I'll do it next week. Yeah, you know what? We'll do the deal that I just closed on. I don't want to do one that I have in progress. But in fact, I think I'll be able to share a couple screens. I know that YouTube gets wonky when I do that, and I got to look at that. Here's my son. He's awesome. Look at this dino, mommy. StreamYard. See, I wrote it down. I gotta check out StreamYard. Yes. But yeah, I'm happy to analyze. Yep. Sure. I'll break it down. I will break down exactly the deal. I'll show you all the numbers. I think we meant to do that on this deal anyway. Yeah, the deep dives. Yep. Yep. I've got a couple I can share with you guys for sure. Yep. Can you explain, Anna K, can you, sorry, real quick, Anna K, I can answer Crimson Knight quickly. Buy after 1974 because of no lead paint. I think the lead paint thing is 79. 78 or 79 Crimson Knight. Lead paint. $78. Yeah, 78. 78, not 74. Oh, sorry. It was going to bother me if I didn't answer or didn't look it up. Ceiling fans are good. I like ceiling fans if they're there. I would replace with a nice ceiling fan because you can get a nice ceiling fan, quite frankly, for like 150 bucks, 179 bucks. I like them. They absolutely help air move. You will have fewer complaints with a ceiling fan than you will without one, and you can get decent ones. Look online. I wouldn't buy them at a big box store because you can buy them online. You can get decent ones for less money online. And yeah, we've replaced ceiling fans a number of times. Yep, like them, love them. Way better, keeps the air moving. Yeah, absolutely 1000%. I fully 100% recommend ceiling fans. Stick with ceiling fans. They absolutely will not treat you wrong. I completely agree. So yeah, ceiling fan, ceiling fan, ceiling fan, 100%. Anna Kay, can you explain the reverse offer to win the bidding war? I certainly can. What was really interesting was Anna Kelly, REI mom, she posted something on, I think it was Instagram. I think Anna is amazing. I think she is next level. I think she is absolutely awesome. And so I do watch her stuff. But yeah, the reverse offer strategy is absolutely a killer. Sorry. So here's how the reverse offer strategy works. Very often we will walk a house. And so I'll tell you an example. We won with a reverse offer strategy on the deal that we're going to analyze next week. That reverse offer strategy was we saw the property. We basically talked to the broker, had the conversation with them and said, hey, we'd love to make an offer. We're going to be around to ask. But we'd like to make a strong offer. And so we'd like to understand what the three most important things to the seller are. He's like, price, price, and price. You're wrong. You clearly haven't had that conversation. So I always tell my broker, listen, we need to get them to do one thing, take action and talk to the seller, which is, okay, if you could write a deal to yourself, right? If you could write a deal to yourself, what would be the terms by which you gave it to? So a lot of times that puts the person thinking, geez, what would be my best offer? What would that look like? Sometimes you can't get them to do that before an open house. As an example, my property had an open house coming on it. I didn't want that open house to happen. I didn't get my way on this particular deal. And so they basically got their deals. And so what I said to them was, we actually had, on this particular one, we made an offer. We made the offer just above list price and said, we'd like to, not see the open house happen. They pushed back and said, we're going to do the open house anyway. Okay, fine. We tried. The reverse offer strategy was when they did the open house, we knew they were going to get a bunch of offers. They got 9. When they got those 9 other offers, we basically touched base with them because we knew they'd get them on Saturday, and then there would be some more second showings on Sunday. So I had my broker call Sunday night and say, okay, I'm sure, is it a multi-offer situation? They said yes. We pulled our offer off the table, by the way, because I didn't want to give them, just in case they didn't get other offers, I didn't want them telling people, yeah, there's already an offer. Because that's what agents will do. They'll tell them, oh yeah, there's already an offer. By law, they can't disclose what it is, but they will say, oh yeah, there's another offer. So we don't want them disclosing that, oh yeah, there's another offer. So because of that, we withdrew our offer formally. And then we went back to them on Sunday night and said, okay, here's what we would like to do. We would like to understand from you what those top 3 things are that you guys would like to see in your offer. And he was like, well, price, price, price. We're like, well, no, there's offers that you've gotten with different stipulations in them. All that we would ask is, she basically because it was a woman that was selling the property. We just asked that she craft a response back to us that's basically, shows us what's most important to her. We recognize price is most important, or we recognize the price is one of the things that's most important, but what else is important? Does she want to close quickly? Does she want no inspections? Does she want the tenants that are on the other side of the duplex to stay? What is it that she wants? When they responded back, yes on price. So we had to up our price. But the other things that they said were, we don't want inspections and we want to close in 30 days. So closing in 30 days, not a problem because I was already pre-approved and had my ducks in a row. The increased number in price, quite frankly, since we're closed, I would have gone another 50 grand higher. I bought it for $5.25. I'd have paid $575. It was worth it. It was actually worth more than that. But even my numbers, with as aggressive as my numbers were, it was still worth $575. But I was happy to pay $5.25. Now, in the no inspections things, here's what we did. Because we were like, okay, we won't use inspections to nickel and dime. Basically, that's what they're afraid of. If you do inspections, they know you're going to come back with something. There's guys that write offers. They won't relinquish the right for inspection because then they're going to use that to beat the crap out of the seller. I hate that. So what we did was we said, okay, we'll agree to this. We'll do inspections. We will not have any recourse. The only thing is we want to do inspections so we know what the issue is, right? Now, if we know what the issue is, then we know how much it's going to cost to fix it. And if the deal is still worth doing, and we figure that cost, whatever it is that they find, into the cost of acquisition. In this particular case, let's just say it come back and there was $50,000 worth of problems, right? But we had no recourse based on the inspections. Guess what I would do? I would take that form and I would take that inspection report, and because it's based on me, the lender, and the asset getting that loan approved and the finances piece of it, I would just send that to my bank and say, hey, we've unearthed that there's a $50,000 problem with this property. We want to be honest and disclose it to the bank. And we know that this will affect our financing. In almost every case, the bank at that point, because they're a bunch of bankers, they will kill that deal. They'll kill that deal. Anna K, yes, I'm communicating through my broker, not directly. So I've done deals where I connected directly with the seller, but in this particular case, everything is done through my broker. Yes. This is why it's very important that my brokers do things the way that I want them done. And then we work on strategize on deals together. That's why you can't be a useless broker or agent. You have to be really good at what you do, because I have a strategy and how I win my deals. And that's why we win a lot of deals. And we're not the highest price. We won a half a dozen deals in the last year where we were not the top one or top two price. We had a cleaner deal. Pre-approvals, cash backup in some cases where it was important. So to that end, to finish that strategy point, basically we would have gone to the bank and said, here, because we've had that conversation with our bank. Hey, if we ever found a property, we didn't do inspections, but we did an inspection that we wouldn't be able to walk away from, but we found that there was a huge problem. Would that or would that not impact financing? Their answer was, yep, that would impact financing. So we know that we can't use the inspection as a clause to get out of the deal. We use the inspection as a means of them denying financing, because I still have in the deal that the deal was still subject to financing, which most people take for granted now because they're just like, everything can finance now. Everything is good, especially on a purchase. That's the way it is right now. There's still not a lot of stuff that's not appraising out. Anna K, you get out of the problem property that way when you waive inspection? Yep, I have, sure. Yep, because we disclosed to the bank that it was going to be a $50,000 repair, and that impacted the financing. That's how we've done it. So from my perspective, I don't normally waive inspections. I'm just telling you what I did in this particular case to make the cleanest deal on this one. Cause I was able to walk the property. I didn't have any concerns about the property. I looked at the roof. I looked at the heating system. I looked structurally at the basement. I looked at a bunch of things in this property because I'm a construction guy. I know what I'm looking at. So based on what I was looking at, I didn't have really any major concerns. That's the only thing, my expertise is the only thing that had me even consider that as an option. But on this particular property, I could consider it as an option because I still had my last minute, because again, the bank doesn't want to take over a crap asset. They don't want to sign you up for something that needs 50,000 bucks of work. They're going to be like, they're underwriters. They're conservative. They're going to be like, no. We're not doing this deal. No, you just found 50,000 bucks worth of problems and they're not going to affect the price at all. No, we're walking. Nope. We're denying your financing. That's what will happen. That's what happened. Very smart. Thank you so much for explaining. Annika, you're very welcome. Now, again, that deal. Don't sue me, bro. That deal was specific to me. I already walked it. I didn't have any major concerns. When the inspector inspected it, guess what? He found maybe a couple $1,000 bucks worth of work that needs to be done. That's nothing. That's nothing. He's like, yeah, you could do this. You could fix this gutter. You could do this. You could do this. So we just kind of use that report as like a maintenance hit list of what we wanted to do. That's it. Super easy, super simple, not a problem at all on any level. Very easy. So if we had that $50,000 problem in that particular deal, we've had a major problem, like a $20,000 problem on a previous deal, where we literally were just like, yeah, we can't walk because of inspection, but guys, they're going to deny our financing. So I actually have gotten a denial in financing because we found some major problems with the unit that they didn't want to address, and they wanted to hold our feet to the fire and on the deal. And that was fine, but the bank wouldn't finance me. I had a financing contingency. They pulled financing. My deal was dead. Now, the question is, then the conversation can open back up, which is, listen, the bank is ripping financing because of this 50K problem. If you're willing to work with me to address it and try and find a happy medium, I might be able to get the bank to not flat out deny me. This is where it's really important to have a relationship with your bank, because if you're dealing with a big bank, that's just a no answer. No, you're done, period. No, you're done, period. If you were the smaller bank, it's, will you at least give me the chance to renegotiate this? And then if no, then they lose you as a buyer and they got to move on and go to the next person. And sometimes that's 14 days in and they can find the other buyer or get one of the other buyers back, but now they know there's a problem. Now they're going to have to discount it. Or they just try and dance with the one who rung them and get the deal done. So that's been my experience. In that particular deal, we didn't find any issue. Our offer was accepted because we were the cleanest. And the only other thing that they asked for is after inspection, a $20,000 fee be paid as part of the deposit. And we were fine with that big number because at that point we knew we were going to be able to get the deal done because there wasn't any other major work. There was no reasons why we shouldn't get financing. So bigger deposits show sellers that you're more serious. I'm serious. This deal is a killer deal. A killer deal. I love this deal. I love this deal. Wish I could do another 10 of them. In fact, I just did one like 2 weeks earlier. We've already closed on 2 deals this year. And we have number 3 that will close the end of February. And we have another one that we're doing next week, or another one that we're trying to put under next week. We'll see if we can get it done. So, Annika, was that helpful? Everything that I just took you through there? Let me know if you're still watching or if I scared you and you ran away. Marlon Parker. Hey, Marlon, I've not seen your name before. I'm super thrilled you're here. I'm buying a duplex with rents $200 lower than market. Love it. Each side needs about 6K in rent. Okay. How do I turn this around quickly for cheap? Should I wait for the lease to expire or offer cash for keys? Depends on when that lease expires. I wouldn't be offering cash for keys and getting deeper into the property. You know, if it's, especially what those cash for keys are, like another couple $1,000 bucks, like that's 20% of your renovation budget. So I wouldn't I wouldn't pay cash for keys depending on when that lease ends. I would just wait for the lease to end. What I would do is when the lease is ending in my state, I don't know about your state, Marlon, cool name, by the way. I don't know about what it is in your state. In my state, I can notify them within 60 days of the lease expiring that I'm not going to renew their lease due to renovations. So I can do that in my state. You have to then renovate, but you're already planning on renovating. So I would be renovating too. I wouldn't, and I would renovate a unit. You know, if it's a brand new renovated unit, then yeah, I don't have a leg to stand on in that particular case. But yeah, if I were in your shoes, that's what I would do. I would, depending on when those leases expire, I would just find out what your state laws are for renovation and getting people to leave based on renovation, especially since you're going to do a renovation budget. And see where that takes you, and then get back to me. I'd love to know where it took you. I don't offer cash for keys unless there's a very specific reason to offer that cash for keys. Because a couple $100 for lower rent, if you think about it, right? If you're a couple $100, I mean, a year's 2,400. If you offer them a month's, let's say 12 or $1,500 for rent or for cash for keys, you just took out a half a year's worth of profit. One lease ends in September, the other one next March. Holy cow. Next March is in 2023, Marlon? Will do, thanks. Yeah. Are you saying Marlon, next March as in 2023? Who signed him that long of a lease? Holy cow. It's a long lease. This is a residential, right? Yeah, Marlon, love to follow up on that deal, my man. Let me know. Would love to hear it. Would love to hear it. It'd be awesome. Yeah, very cool. Annika, when you say your offer is the cleanest, what is that? What is it like? Good question. So a non-clean deal is one with a bunch of, yes, 2023. Holy cow, Marlon. Wow. Yeah. So why do they have a more than year lease? Why do they have like a 2-year lease? Like, what's that landlord thinking? Yeah, I probably still wouldn't offer cash for keys, but yeah, take a look at what I said, go through that process, and then circle back with me next week. I'd love to know the update. PM sign a long lease. You know why? Because they got comped on it. That's bullsh. That's bullsh. I'd be looking for a new PM is what I would be doing. That's bullsh. Because usually the PM gets paid for the percentage of the lease that gets signed. That's garbage. See, they don't have any interest in you, and now you're locked in for that lease for a whole nother year. Yeah, that's garbage. I would really look at it and run the math, run the numbers. Yeah, property manager signing multi-year lease. That's such crap. Yep. I believe if you're buying it, so in my state, the seller can actually notify the tenants that a new landlord is taking over. Talk to an attorney. Your state might have the same thing. A landlord can notify, or a current landlord can notify the tenants he's selling the property and that the property must be vacant upon transfer of title. And then you can have him actually do it because the sale of the property, there's a lot of states that will allow you the sale of the property and getting rid of your existing tenants. So then you have a little bit of a burden to carry as far as getting it renovated right away and getting people in it. But you're in the right time of year where spring is always the best, no matter where you are in the country. Spring is always the best from a rental perspective. And then you don't do cash for keys, then you do get him out or get the tenant out. So that's all my advice for you, my man. And if you need to rewatch it, it was at hour 2:30 to 2:38. It's 8 minutes if you need to rewatch it. Annika, so when you say your office is the cleanest, what is it like? So when people look at clean deals, right? When brokers look for clean deals, I look for clean deals as a seller too. What are the things that I want to see? I want to see them not doing an inspection. Why? Makes my life easier because I know if they do one, they're going to bust my stones and want little things here and there fixed. Number two, I want them doing a larger cash deal. Doesn't have to be an all cash deal, but if they're willing to put down 20 or 25%, and I know it's not an FHA loan, I know that I'm going to get less stones busted when it comes to the actual appraisal. It's going to be an easier appraisal at 20% down with an 80% loan to value than it will be not. Third thing is, I look at what they actually put in there from a loan, from a seller finance or the financing contingency. Is it 75% loan to value or 96.5% loan to value? That's a big thing too, because they might not get approved for FHA financing, but they might be able to get approved for a conventional. People will use that as a tax to get out of a deal. And then they're just like, yeah, I couldn't qualify. My credit wasn't where it needed to be. Another thing too is a cleaner deal. If they provide their credit, so they're looking for that FHA loan, I can say, well, sure, provide me your credit so I know that you're not just bullshitting me and giving yourself an out. If they have a 760 credit score, I'm pretty good with that because I know that they're not going to get torpedoed. So the other thing is on a cleaner deal, timing, the fastest wins. A 30-day close, perfect. That's a cleaner deal. Down payment, that they show me proof of funds, either A, of down payment, or B, they actually show me proof of funds for the entire purchase price, but I know they're financing it. That's another thing. Cleaner deal on if I'm buying, a cleaner deal would be, I agree to make up for 10% of the appraisal if it doesn't come in at listing price. Again, that's very dangerous. You must know your market inside and out if you're going to do something dangerous like that. I'm not recommending that. I'm not advocating that. You asked me what a cleaner deal was. That's a cleaner deal. I made that offer in this case because I knew we were going to appraise. Now, I offered 525. It appraised for 537. And that was a layup. And that was non-income approach as well. Other cleaner deals. Pre-approval letter, making sure that I had a pre-approval letter already. That makes me a cleaner deal. If it's a investor type of property, not a single family home, if it's an investor type of property, talking about the fact that you invest locally in the market that you have for 15 years, it's a local bank and we know the market. So it's not going to be some out of state, out of area appraiser. We note that because that also makes it a cleaner deal. What else? Deposit, larger deposit. I don't put $2,000 or $3,000 down for deposit. I put $10,000 down for deposit. If I really want to get a deal done, I put 10 grand down, and after a successful inspection, I'll put another 10 grand down. My job is to close the deal. That's it. I want to close the deal. That money doesn't go into their pockets. That goes into escrow. If there becomes an issue where one of the terms is met, and we have right to our appraisal back or to our down payment back, then we get it back. If we don't, if we have the grounds, we can sue them. It's very simple. You can very easily sue them if they don't want to hold it back. And the issue is they can't put their house back on the market until they've either returned your money or there's been a judgment against one of you where they either get to keep it or get to sell it again. There's nothing can happen. So they literally are going to be dead waiting months for that to be remedied in court. I always tell people, so I run my business in a position where I recognize that even if I get sued, it still costs me money. So my goal is to stay not getting sued, not walk that fine line where I've always working with attorneys to maybe I get sued and then they clean the mess up. It costs me money every time that happens. So we've been sued twice in 21 years. And once was just like in the last few weeks, and they just withdrew their suit. Probably had something to do with how we filed our suit, our counter. And then the other one was 11 years ago over the dispute of $300. And I'm a principled individual. So I would not give that person their $300 back because he didn't follow through. He didn't, and it was actually, they claimed 1,100. And I was like, I'm not giving you the $1,100. I'm not. I don't owe that to you. I owe you $300. That's it. And he wouldn't take the $300. So we went to court, and technically he won the case because they found that I needed to pay him the $300. I already knew I was like, that's fine, whatever. And I had to pay interest, which was like $9. So yeah, they won. That was like 300 and something bucks. And it was done through an arbitrator. Didn't even cost me any money. So yeah, Anna K. Did I get, is it Anna or Anna? Can you put that in the chat for me too? I'm big weird with names. I like to get people's names right. So Anna or Anna K, let me know if that was right or if that helped you. Marlon Parker, number 2. I've not been able to secure reasonable seller finance deals, but YouTube gurus make it appear easy. Are seller finance deals really so common? No, they really aren't. Because in most cases, when you're doing a seller finance deal, in most cases, you own the property outright. How many people own their property outright? The reason that they make it look easy, like, so Pace Morby, right? He's the man at seller finance deals. He's the man. He is. No one as good as he is. On sub 2 financing, there's nobody better than Pace Morby. He is a rock star. But he has a bunch of businesses and students that all they do is all of the hard work that goes into trying to find deals that can be seller financed. That's all. That's what they do. So that's why he's constantly churning through, and why he has hours upon hours upon hours of content of it, is because he has teams of people that all they are doing is trying to create those leads. Pace Morby is the best in the business when it comes to seller finance deals. Anna. So it's Anna, not Anna. 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 So my daughter's Eliana, and so we call her Anna because it's Anna in her name. So that's why I want to make sure I get it right. That's where the Anna comes from, is because Eliana. So we call her Anna. So yeah, so Marlon Parker, yeah, they're not common. So to give you an idea, I've been doing this for 21 years. I've had the opportunity to do seller financing, not even on the whole deal, but a part of a deal twice, 3 times. I did one deal that was seller financed, and I had one other deal that I lost because they were dumb. The math was awesome in their favor, but they were getting horrible advice. And they took the other deal, which was stupid. It is really Japanese, Anna. Okay. I think you even have me confused, Anna. Link to me on Instagram so you can see my pictures. I'll send you pictures so you can see all the updates that we're doing to our properties. Awesome. Love it. So yeah, so those seller finance deals, they're not that common. The person has to own it. And then you can usually do a seller finance deal with them. And so from that perspective, I think there are plenty of people that see the value. Make sure you understand and can convey the value of a seller finance deal. That's the one thing that I would recommend, is you really have to be able to do that and know that cold, so they don't feel like, because I mean, think about it, like they're basically extending credit to you. Why would they want to extend credit to you instead of a bank extending credit to you, and they don't just walk from the deal? The only reason is because of the structure, because of the cost tax benefits, because you can, give them the rate instead of them, especially if it's an income property where now they still get an income, but they don't have to do any of the work. Then it's kind of nice, right? Yeah. So Marlon, thanks for being so open, dude. Happy to, man. Appreciate it. I appreciate you saying that. Transparent is I'm like a piece of glass and not like an old foggy piece of glass that's opaque. Yeah, try and stay wide open for you guys so you don't make the same mistakes I've made. The owners have asked for unreasonable prices to finance. Yep, I saw that too. Yeah, one of them was like they wanted like six and a half or something. I'm like, okay, you want me to give you a 6.5 rate with still putting the same 20% down? Why would I finance with you? I can get 30-year fixed rate debt at 4. This was like a few months ago. I was like, I can get 30-year fixed rate debt at 4 with my same 20% down. Why would I give you 6.5? Well, that's just what we would want. Great. You're not going to get it from me. Not interested. Because if they were going to do 6.5, but no money down, we might have a conversation. I would at least run the numbers and see what the difference is, right? Because over a 10-year period, seeing not, paying that higher percentage rate, but not putting the, 120 into a deal. Yeah. So I would look at it. You did the right thing though, Marlon. Honestly, you did the right thing. I would have done exactly what you would have done, which is seller financing an option? A. B, if seller financing is an option, let's at least talk about it and look what those numbers are. And C, I have the right to call you a jerk face and your numbers suck and I'm walking and I'll just do it. I'm not doing the deal altogether now because the bank, there's one of the deals that I was looking at, there was a bunch of delayed maintenance on the property. It had a ton of delayed maintenance. And they just did the wrong. It was just so unbelievably foolish on their part. It was just so unbelievably foolish on their part to walk away from that deal. Because I know what they don't understand is that deal ended up selling for like $650K. But what they don't understand is that deal selling for $650K is they had to pay taxes on $250,000. My deal didn't have that for them. They could have taken whatever money that they wanted and left the rest in the deal. It was foolish on their part because the bank still had to be paid off. So yeah, when that deal, I think that deal's closed. I'll probably look it back up. I want to see who bought it. I'd love to know who bought it. Marlon Parker, I have 4 units and 2 under contract, duplex. Okay. When did you meet your first financing hump? What is your minimum cash flow per unit that you accept? My first financing hump. Well, so I was trying to finance deals through 8, 9, and 10. Every deal was a finance hump. It was a lot of work in every single deal to try and get those deals done. And so, yeah, it was pretty steadily along the way that I had issues with financing. It just had to be, good credit scores, low DTI, debt to income ratio. So if you give me more detail on financing hump, I can help you there. But what is your minimum cash flow per unit that you would accept? Mine's percentages, and that's based on my market. So I always like to talk to people about what is a typical deal in your market. If it's 6%, then a good deal is 8% and a great deal is 10%. If a typical deal in your market is 4%, 6% is a good deal, 8% is a great deal. So for me, because I've done this as long as I have, I now don't touch a deal that doesn't give me at least a 20% return on my capital. 20% return on capital. And so I don't break that down as a value per door. Per se, it's much more for me looking at the deal and saying, okay, can I make 10 points? Because 10% on a 12 unit building where it makes $5,000 a month versus 20% on a 2 unit building that makes $2,000 a month. For me, I always invest for the return on my capital. So I want the best return on my capital. That's my job with my money, is to make sure I'm getting the best return on my capital that I can get. That's what's most important to me, is my return on my capital. So I don't have necessarily, I don't buy anything for appreciation. It's not even on my spreadsheet. The only place that you'll find appreciation anywhere in any of my documentation is when it comes to filing out my personal financial statement annually for my bank. That's it. That's it. I don't track it otherwise. That's it. That's it. That's it. So yeah, so hopefully that's helpful to you, Marlon. It's not a number. It's not a specific number like $1,000 or anything like that. People that count by the door, I have found, usually don't have amazing returns. They're usually pretty skinny returns if you're counting by the door. That's typically what I've seen. I care about my outlay of cash and my return on that capital, because that's what the bank understands. If you're talking to a banker, so what other things I try and do is I always try and have the appropriate vernacular when I'm talking to a bank, right? If I'm having a conversation with them, about, my cash flow, well, they understand cash flow. They understand return on capital or yield. A lot of times they'll glaze over on the door. Because the other thing too is, right, because think about it this way. Let's say a great investment it's a bigger building. Let's say a great investment's 175 a door, but a bad investment's 125 a door or 100 a door. Like, that still sounds pretty close, right? Everyone thinks, 20, $75, who cares? I look at the biggest numbers possible, right? Which is, okay, annually, this property is going to make me $40,000 in net cash flow. Well, guess what? The bank's like, ooh, wow. Yeah, we want to finance that deal. You have $40,000 in net cash flow on that deal? Yep. Yeah, we'll refinance that deal. So it's getting them to see that bigger picture. There's one investor that got totally bailed out this last 2 years who is investing at $50 a door. He said, if I can make $50 a door, I don't care about the rest of it because it's all about appreciation. He got bailed out in the last 2 years. I want to see if he's still buying stuff at $50 a door now and what that looks like 2 years from now. I think a lot of his business, I think a lot of his doors, I think a lot of them are in trouble, and he owns a couple hundred, but I think a lot of those doors are in trouble. Me personally, I think a lot of those doors are going to be in trouble. In fact, Crimson Knight, if you're still watching, it's in your market. It's in Manchester. He's done a ton of business in Manchester, a ton. And like I said, he buys based on 50 to $100 a door. He'll buy a deal. I hate that model. He's done well last couple of years for appreciation, but if he did that in 05, 06, 07, 08, 9, 10, 11, he would have gotten killed those years. Yep. He'd be out of business and I'd be buying the stuff on auction.com, which I've done probably, what have I done on there? 3 deals, 4 deals, auction.com, Hubzu. I've done deals on both sites. Yeah. Auction.com and Hubzu, I think, are the 2 that I've done, that I've won deals on. Participated in a few, probably a couple dozen, and won a couple that were really good. Glad there was one I was really glad I didn't win. It was one where I found out I was gambling. I was waiting for the final property and casualty quote to come in for insurance. I was estimating the insurance would be $2,500. The insurance was $9,500 because they were in a 100-year flood zone. So I bailed. I was like, okay, yep, I'm out. Good, I'm out. Yep, nope. So yeah, quickly stop paying attention. That ended up going for decent money. I'm pretty sure it ended up back on the market though. Excuse me. Pretty sure it ended up back on the market because somebody didn't calculate properly. So awesome. Guys, thank you so much for attending the live stream, hanging out with me. I'm going to go hang out with my kids the rest of the weekend and get ready for the week. Super excited to have you guys here. I'm super excited. We saw a bunch of names. Marlon, Anna, thank you guys so much for joining and feeling that this is a good enough environment for you to ask your questions. I really appreciate that. To all the folks that attend so regularly, I really appreciate you guys. Always fun hanging out. Jeremy for bringing perspective on some other new ideas with Airbnb short-term rental and the solar stuff. I love talking through that things with you guys because there's always something to be learned. For the guys from my market, Crimson Knight, and you guys, I really appreciate you guys. John Doe, I appreciate you guys hanging out again. Don, I'm so super excited to get together with you and talk about that development project. I can't wait to do it. Super, super excited to talk through that. And to everyone else that came, hung out with us, asked some questions, really appreciate you guys. It's been a blast, always is, and look forward to doing this again next week. And then Mr. and Mrs. Lumberjack will be back on Thursday night. And then actually tomorrow night, Matt the Mortgage Guy, please show up, show your support. Tomorrow night, Matt the Mortgage Guy, I will be on at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern time, hanging out with Matt the Mortgage Guy, talking about stuff. So on your way out, if you guys could hit the like button, I'd really appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow night with Matt the Mortgage Guy, Thursday night with Mrs. Lumberjack, and Sunday morning with me, and Sunday morning, early afternoon. Guys, have a great rest of your week. Continue to do the work, continue to work the numbers, and I hope you find an awesome, awesome deal this week. Thanks so much, and be ready for next week. We'll do a deal analysis. I'll take you through my latest deal, all the numbers, and then we'll go from there. Thanks, guys. Have a great rest of your week. Thanks again for tuning in. Take care, everybody.